Well, I haven't put the lights on. I'll put them on. God, keep the lights on. There we go. Fucking hell, that's a bit weird.
We're in a rave. Here we go, moment of truth.
There we go. Right, everyone. We are back. We are back. How is it gone? How's it gone? Joey, you a bit nervous?
I am. I'm shitting myself, to be honest, because we were saying before the game, right? Listen, the thing with tonight is as defining as it seems for Man United season. Like, that's the narrative, no doubt, going into this game. The narrative around it is it could be Ten Hag's last game. Man United are in somewhat of a crisis, despite before the Newcastle result, they were apparently the form team of the table. Actually, I feel like there's more to play here for Chelsea than there is Man United, because I do genuinely think that Man United can lose this game and still, because of their ability they've shown to be able to get over the line in games they haven't played that well in, be in with a shout of getting European spots. And I do think that if Chelsea lose this game tonight, as much as we still might have some fun moments in this season, as much as we'll still definitely be in entertaining games, I think we wave by, don't we, to our hopes of
There's no point anymore. Like, for the Premier League season for Chelsea, you're just existing.
Yeah.
Like, whereas if you win this, you go up to 22 points in the table, which is only one below Brighton, who, you know, obviously have had a solid season. You're in the top 8. You're then 2 points behind Manchester United, who are 7th. And Europa League possibilities are immediately there. And even Champions League, if you went on an unbelievable run, because Tottenham are a bit hit and miss. Newcastle squad is bare thin. So you're breathing down their necks as well then. But it needs to happen now. Like, this is the last chance for me, for Chelsea, to have a chance of of Champions League football. Like, and even then it feels a bit far-fetched. So I think, but yeah, it's got to be a big turnaround starting tonight. Consistency. Beat Brighton. All right, it was a bit dodgy at the end, but you overall, it was a good, really good win there, despite not playing great. And all of a sudden, there's a bit of form. Everything changes. And if you don't beat Man United tonight, it's a weird one, because we're going to actually learn a lot about how they feel about Ten Hag. Because to me, it was ironic, because before the reports came out, you sat on the kickoff the other day, and Joy goes, he's lost half the dressing room at least, right? And literally, 24 hours later, it goes, 50% of the dressing room unhappy with Ten Hag. And I'm like, we can see that just by watching the matches.
Choose who you want to listen to. Carve Solical says it, and everyone goes, quite must be fact.
Yeah, well,
that idiot Chelsea fan on the kickoff says it, and they're thinking, oh, fuck off.
He's got mates at Carrington.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did think, look, you can't see it by the body language of some of these lads. And interestingly, massive call, drop Rashford, and we're going to find out who the fuck actually gives a shit? Because to us, to Newcastle, we're watching it going, God, this lot are a walkover. And not for the first time. We've been walking over them the last 2 games in a row. Because against the back end of last season, we won 2-0. And that was another game where we thought we should have won 5 or 6. So the basics of Manchester United is if you outwork them, you're probably going to win. Like, they're not hard working.
Do you know what I worry about with Chelsea in this game? Because on the eye test, I don't think anyone can deny in the cold light of day, Chelsea should be winning this game. We play way better football than Man United. The problem is, we've played better football, for example, against the likes of Aston Villa in a match we lost, against the likes of Brentford in a match we lost, against the likes of West Ham in a match we lost. We played better football than Man United did against Fulham, against Nottingham Forest, against Man United have some sort of knack of being able to get over the line and win in these games. So if you're going on the eye test, you're going to say Chelsea should win. But the thing that worries me here, we look, for example, right, the match against Arsenal, which, yes, it was a draw that I feel like was a win, but it was a draw. That match against Arsenal, we were massive underdogs in. Opening day of the season against Liverpool, I think you'd make us underdogs. Definitely against Manchester City, you'd make us underdogs. But what was the one big match that we went into, and even Tottenham we were underdogs, but the big match we went into when, for once, I don't feel we were underdogs. And maybe this is naivety from me and not feeling so. But the Newcastle game, because it's very easy to sort of have the memory of how the match went, but going into that match,
no, you
were riddled.
You were hopeful.
You were limping onto the pitch.
We just lost to Bournemouth.
Yeah,
we were terrible in that.
7
game.
goalkeepers on the bench. I think you had
something like that, and the pressure was on Chelsea.
Yeah,
that was the point. You were expected or hoping to get at minimum a draw, probably a win.
Yeah, because you look at it, and as good as Newcastle are, you looked at that and you went, I tell you what, if there's a time to win at St James's Park, and as the seasons and even the games go on, that time frame is becoming slimmer and slimmer, not just for Chelsea, but for every team. But if there is a time to win, it was then. And now we're looking at this and we're going, Chelsea have had a abysmal record against Man United recently. I think it's been shocking. Maybe 12 games since we've won against them or something like that.
I noticed Raheem Sterling's never scored against them either.
No.
So, but here's the one thing though, when you were listing all of those games that Chelsea have played well in, what have they all got in common? Big name teams. You played well against Arsenal, well against Liverpool, well against City. So, you've proven that outside of Newcastle, who, to be fair, the common denominator is Newcastle in that everyone goes, worst game of the season, worst performance of the season at St James's. Arsenal said it. Liverpool, I think, said it. They won, but we dominated. It was easy. It wasn't a hard game, which is more infuriating as to how it went. PSG have said it. Man United now said it. So I think that there's a level of like, we're just a horrible place to go to, and everyone's had the same feeling. So whereas with Manchester United now, I think you miscalculated the Newcastle game, but I think everyone knows the reality of where Man United are right now. They're mentally on the ropes. When you start banning journalists, it's a bad sign. That is like, we can't bear to hear what you guys have got to say right now. It's quite cowardly, in my opinion. I understand Alex Ferguson did it once upon a time.
Yeah, but do you know what else Alex Ferguson did? Win games against big teams.
Yeah.
So
Fergie could do that because he was killing the game.
He was Fergie.
But this is Ten Hag, right? So he definitely has to start developing a hard to beat mentality in these players, and it's not there. Like, if you're going to become a top manager, which Ten Hag is not yet, he's miles off. That's something that has to come soon, and I don't know. I think we're going to learn so much about two teams who right now have been hard to judge. Like Man United, it's been, all right, we've watched them put wins together and we're like, how do they keep doing this? They're so bad. And yet Bruno Fernandes and some of those killer players that they've got, those great ball strikers, have pulled them out the dirt a little bit. But then you're thinking, all right, if they can keep that going, maybe they'll go on a run.
Yeah.
Maybe then the performances will come, the results will stay the same, and all of a sudden, we're like, God, they really got lucky at the start of the season, but now they've turned it into something. And similarly with Chelsea, I'm kind of like 2 steps forwards, 1 step back with these guys over and over again. And it is the battle of the mudded, is what they're calling it on Twitter.
El Modico.
El Modico, where 2 great clubs who were once in a Champions League final together, now lacking identity, lacking direction, and unsure as to whether or not their manager is the right guy for them. I'm not saying I've got doubts in Poch or any Chelsea fan has, but I don't think anyone can say with absolute certainty that he's the right guy yet. And when you're looking at the Premier League table, it speaks volumes, right? It's not gone great yet. It might do, and I think same with Ten Hag. Yeah, last season was good. This season's been pretty mental and bad. So pressure's on both. And that, for me, as a neutral, knowing we've beat them both, I gotta say, it's pretty good feeling.
Yep.
But also just watching the pressure. This to me is what the Premier League's all about. Is like, you want to be at the highest level. You want to manage Manchester United, Chelsea. You know, what comes with that is pressure. And I think the fact that Ten Hag is now banning the press, I mean, what do you make of that? Quite surprising to me.
Do you know what? Get myself in trouble with Man United fans here. Do you know what I don't like about the fact that he banned the press? Is because the story they printed is not a lie. It's clearly not a lie. He's lost half the dressing room. Like, you can't deny that, you know?
Yeah.
Think about it this way, right? Let's speak about Jadon Sancho, for example. I've worked in offices, I've worked on building firms, worked in many different environments in my life. And ultimately, as much as we put the glitz and glam on Premier League footballers, professional footballers, it, for them, is a job and it is a workplace. Now, let me cast my mind back to when I worked on site, right? Some of my favourite people I worked with were not the hardest workers. It was not, I like you because you work well for our boss. It weren't really that. It was, I like you because you're a good laugh. You know what I mean? So when he has alienated Jadon Sancho, which let's remember that was one of the key things that was said on the statement, on the story printed by the media. It was that a lot of players, a lot of players are unhappy at the way Jadon Sancho has been treated. And I do think that as much as a Man United fan can justify it by going, well, look, you know, he hasn't apologised. That's all well and good. But believe me, relationships will bode stronger, I would say, than someone's performance in what ultimately is their workplace. So I think that the first things first is that the fact he's alienated Jadon Sancho there and said, you know, pretty much that he won't be playing for Man United again, that straight away is going to lose a lot of people. There'll be a lot of people in those dressing room, a lot of players in the dressing room, I should say, who will really feel for Jadon Sancho in that situation. That's the first thing. Also, you look at sort of the lack of faith he showed in Harry Maguire, who, let's just remember, has just won Premier League Player of the Month. When I used to play football, right, I used to season in, season out, and consistency is what I always go for. I would win Most Improved Player, and it feels a little bit like that, Harry Maguire winning that Player of the Month. Yeah.
It's not that he's been the best footballer. Didn't he do well considering? Yeah,
considering. But then when you look at all of these things, all of these factors that are going into it now, his players he's brought in not performing that well, him having to call on the old guard who originally he had sort of, in his actions, said these guys aren't good enough for it. If you look at all of that and factor it all in, I would say that the players are not just losing their liking him for Ten Hag, not just losing the passion they have to play for him, but also losing their faith in his managerial ability.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the nail on the head. Everything else is sort of the sprinkling on the cake, right? Like,
just had a friend text me, you've never won Most Improved Player in your life. That's why you shouldn't lie on stream.
Right, okay. Well, it's interesting that Manchester United fans are so devotedly siding with Ten Hag. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that they're wrong to do that. But, you know, when we watched the David Beckham documentary, did you seen that?
Yep.
Yeah. When Capello, went on the way he did with him, when, what was the other guy? Glenn Hoddle. A lot of people were like, can't believe he treated him that way. I'm not saying I know the ins and outs of it. Maybe Ten Hag's completely in the right. But if players are siding with Sancho and the product on the pitch isn't going well, it may be grayer than what people realise. There may be a part. I don't think Sancho's handled this well at all. I think Sancho could have worded that statement way better. If you were going to do a statement, it was very. The manager's talking shit. Like it was very strong, and maybe it was strong because he was right in what he was saying. I don't know, but I think he could have worded it in a way that was a bit more like good guy and not fight fire with fire. He could have been a bit more classy about it and say, look, I feel really upset that the manager's questioned my dedication, always wanting to give 100% for Manchester United. I don't know why he's got the wrong end of the stick. It is disappointing because I feel like I am giving 100% and I'll continue to do so. And leave it at that. Do you know, you don't have to literally say, you're talking shit. I just need to read one of these super chats. Sorry, I'm just seeing a big note come up there. I want to get your two thoughts on Amazon. Should make this a permanent thing because $7.99 to watch every game, to Sky £50 to watch 3 games. I mean, the Amazon thing, shout out to you, bro, by the way. Thanks for the super chat. It's a shame it doesn't look like they're going to get any more after this. This will be...
I've loved it.
Yeah.
Not just this time round. Every time it's happened. I was sat at home watching a great match last night between Luton and Arsenal, and also having your pick of the matches. That's the main thing that I love.
Every Saturday 3 p.m. Boom.
Yeah.
I can't believe we're losing that again. Like for another however many years that they've done this Sky deal, it's so shit.
But you never noticed that you're not watching the 3 p.m. Saturday kickoffs because you're always at your lower tier football club. So
yeah, because we're grassroots football.
Yeah, did the job.
No, it's ridiculous though, isn't it? But the stadium, Old Trafford, is filling up now. Let's look at the team sheets, right? We're going to talk about the starting lineups.
Just before we go to that, just to finish off on Sancho, right? And I completely understand he could have handled himself a bit more grace, but do you know when in life you don't give a fuck about the words coming out your mouth? When you're telling the truth. You don't know, do you? You don't. When you're telling the truth. Listen, if I'm trying to spin you a lie, I'll probably give you every single detail that's so unnecessary. You know what I mean? We watch a lot of stuff on serial killers and stuff like that. They're so calculated in what they say. But when you're telling the truth, you don't care, mate. You just say whatever comes into your head because at the end of the day, you know the truth will prevail over time. And look, I've got to say, I do believe that Jadon Sancho could handle himself better. But if Jadon Sancho, you know, has printed, put out what he said, I think that at least Jadon Sancho believes he's not trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes there.
Yeah. I respect the balls on him, but I just feel like I look at him and I go, you've let him win though. You might have won the battle, but you haven't won the war because now you're sitting on the sidelines. You're going to fucking concerts and fucking playing FIFA. It looks like you don't care. Even if you do care, it doesn't look good. Now, there's reports coming out in the news of Jadon Sancho's been training. He's like a beast. I don't know if you've seen the quotes or whatever, but this has been drip fed out. So I think the point that Sancho's wanting to get across is if you do sack him, still fit, so ready when you are. Yeah. And maybe he is, but also part of the problem is if you go head to head with a footballer and he's a top player and he's performing like one, well then, as a manager, it's a lot harder to win. The reason Ten Hag got a lot of support was because people were looking at Sancho, even KG, who is drinking the Man United Kool-Aid, was like, I can't name a great Sancho performance. You know, I can't do that. So for him, I think it was like, the proof's in the pudding. You haven't been performing, and now you don't even want to play, or you're not willing to take it on the chin from the manager. And like Ten Hag has been inconsistent, but it reminds me going back in the day to a Newcastle issue of what was it? Ruud Gullit. Do you remember Ruud?
Yeah.
Ruud Gullit dropped.
Oh, I remember him.
Ruud Gullit dropped. Yeah, I forgot about that. Ruud Gullit dropped Shearer and Duncan Ferguson, and basically there was absolute tyranny going on, and the issue for Gullit is they lost against Sunderland, and that was it. Shearer was right.
Rafa Benitez did it. Came into Chelsea, already had absolutely no grace whatsoever with the Chelsea fans after some of the stuff he had said about us. And his first assignment, you know, piss off all the fans. That's a pre-assignment. Come in, drop John Terry. John Terry's too old. John Terry gets beat for pace. John Terry can't turn with the ball anymore. He drops him. He gets sacked. And then all of a sudden, the next season, John Terry goes on and wins a league title with Chelsea. So, you know, I think a lot of the time, and probably a lot of people would say maybe not rightly so in football, but 99% of the time, the player does win, you know. Like, 99% of the time, the player's contract will always outlast the manager's. A lot of the time, the player will win. We're past the days
Do you
now.
think that's what Sancho's thinking?
100%. 100%. I think that Jadon Sancho would have not acted the way he acted if he didn't already have an inkling that, one, it was going to go this sort of way, and two, I might be the first to voice it, but I ain't the first to feel it. Do you know what I mean? I don't think he's the groundbreaker there of going, Ten Hag's fella's a bit of a twat, isn't he? Like, I think that there's been murmurings in the dressing room. There's been certain things where he's behind the scenes, maybe falling out of players and whatnot. And Jadon Sancho's the first one we know about. But whenever we speak to people inside of football, you know, you'll always hear different stories that we didn't realise. John Obi-Mikel's podcast recently has exposed a lot of the stories behind, obviously, Chelsea's time.
It's just mad. John Obi-Mikel's just dropped the podcast and then like, yeah, all of a sudden I'm going to tell everything.
Dropped the podcast and spilt the beans.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
I haven't heard much of it yet, but...
Yeah. How do I feel about the Colwell captaincy from Nathan?
Is he...
We were reading... Yeah. So we read that it was Raheem Sterling who was the captain. Raheem Sterling, of course, obviously what he has achieved in the game would be a captain by example of you know, especially how you play in these bigger games, because Raheem Sterling's been turning up in the big matches. But the Colwell captaincy... I do very much get it, because I think that Mauricio Pochettino is very clearly going down the Cobham route. And for anyone that's, you know, not a massive fan of Chelsea, Cobham's our training ground. And I think that if you look at his selections of captains so far, when he selected the official captain, Reece James, who we'll get onto because he's actually on the bench for this match, when he selected Reece James to be his captain, I think there was maybe more obvious choices when you look at Thiago Silva. The question around Thiago Silva being selected as captain was, at 39 years old, how much game time is he going to have? Well, the answer to that is quite a lot, clearly. But he didn't select Thiago Silva. He didn't select Ben Chilwell. Neither of them, obviously, through the Cobham Academy, he selected Reece James for that. And then when Reece James was injured out of the team, it didn't go to one of those more senior players. It went to Conor Gallagher. So then now today, you're seeing it's going to Levi Colwell. So I think Pochettino is very much trying to install that sense of understanding the club, coming through the ranks, knowing the club. And I think that's why it's maybe not a surprise to see Levi Colwell in there as captain today.
Why is Silva not captain?
Do you know what it is? I came under a little bit of stick for this. I've seen... Reece James come off the pitch before and go to hand Thiago Silva the armband and Silva turn it down. Like, I don't know whether that was my interpretation, I was wrong on that, but I have seen that before. So I just sort of think that Thiago Silva maybe would rather just focus on his game without being the captain. Let's remember, he doesn't speak very good English at all, Thiago Silva, for a guy that's been over here quite a few years now. And yeah, you know, I think maybe when we're looking at... There's no secret here, despite how you feel about the Chelsea board and how they'll act, there's no secret that we're being told this is a project. And if you're appointing a project-style captain, or at least giving the armband to one in this game, you're going to go Levi Colwell over Silva, because Levi Colwell signed a new contract. He's here for the foreseeable future, and there's every indication that you know, this could be Silva's last season with us.
Someone said Chelsea don't have many leaders. I know that's something me and you have been talking about lately. Just going to read the team sheets out. We've got Onana in goal for Manchester United, Delors, Lindelof, Maguire, Shaw as a back four. Change there because Shaw was centre-back against Newcastle. McTominay and Amrabat in midfield. Anthony, Bruno Fernandes, Garnacho as the three behind the striker of Højlund. Marcus Rashford is dropped. For Chelsea, Jackson, Mudryk, Palmer, Raheem Sterling as a three. Interesting. Obviously, we've got the suspended captain from last week. Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo in the middle. Cucurella, Colwell, and Silva, Disasi, and Sanchez make up the defence and the keeper. And on the bench, interestingly, yeah, me and Joy were saying, for all the money spent, so many players who I've never fucking heard of. Like, it actually reminds me of the Newcastle bench right now. Aside from Reece James, Broja, and Badiashile, Reece James dropped. Massive, that. Massive.
I actually inadvertently called it in a video. I said in a video that, Pochettino is the sort of manager who I think won't always immediately go for what the fan base think he should do. So there's been certain times when the fan base have been quite vocal about certain players being dropped, certain players being brought in. And when Reece James obviously came out of the team through that suspension after the red card against Newcastle, I wasn't so sure that Pochettino would immediately put Reece James back in there. Now, hopefully, it doesn't get proven as a mistake, because I do very much think that we could do with a Reece James on the pitch, and obviously we will see him off the bench at some point. But at the same time, I think that the standard you set and the bar you sort of raise as a manager is very important for not only the fan base to know what your expectations are, but also for the players themselves to buy into you. And I do think that if you look at Axel Disasi, for example, who had a good game against Brighton, you then go, oh, okay, but if I'm dropping you straight away from Reece James, that player knows that I can come on and perform out of my skin. Not that Axel Disasi did, but, hypothetically, I could come on and perform out of my skin, and ultimately, it doesn't really matter, because when the main man comes back in, I'm going to lose my spot anyway.
Apparently, James might have knee pain as well. So, I don't know.
Wouldn't surprise me.
I know he's all a few years have been banging on about this call-out. I'm not going to go into that, because that's exactly what is wanted from me. So I'll deal with that in my own way. Let's just cheers. I'm enjoying the game. Chelsea are about to kick off. Manchester United at home. We're going to see whose season can turn a corner tonight. I'm very much looking forward to it. Josh is at home, so I better text him, because he's the one who's actually doing the score counter. So I've got to tell him to switch the fucking score counter on.
I know one thing that Josh will be absolutely buzzing about, and that is him seeing his poster boy, his man, Mykhailo Mudryk, on the pitch. And I think that in this game here, I was looking at the Mudryk inclusion, and every indication was that if Mudryk starts where he normally starts, he's going to be coming up against Wan-Bissaka. And I was nervous about that, because I was thinking, do you know what? I don't know how much luck Mudryk is going to have against Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah.
Wan-Bissaka, for whatever you want to say about him going forward, I would say in the Premier League, he's probably, for me, I'd say top 5 in
defensively,
one-to-one defensive right backs.
I'm really surprised Ten Hag's dropped Wan-Bissaka, but I think he's made a mistake, because I think he's gone, Wan-Bissaka got cooked in the last game. But I'm like, but he was up against, little
nutmeg.
Jackson Maguire.
But do you know what? I was saying this to you before, Brian. Like, when you look at a team sheet and it doesn't make that much sense to you, do you know how you make it make sense? You basically realise that manager is not picking what he thinks is the strongest team. He's picking what he thinks is the team he can get a tune out of. And it says it all. Like, there's absolutely no doubt.
You're so right about who can I actually motivate at this point.
Yeah.
Because, but again, you got cooked. Wan-Bissaka got cooked by Gordon, but like every fullback has been. Aside from that, Wan-Bissaka's a good defender. Like, I think Delors, I'm a bit meh on him. Like, when he was brought in, I think was it Mourinho who brought him in. He was kind of supposed to be this big time, one for the future. Not been anything like that for me. Like, Man United immediately trying to put some pressure on Chelsea in the final third here. Delors brings it forward though, crosses. Oh, nice little effort from Bruno.
I tell you what, Bruno's just had a shot from range here, about 25 yards out. One thing that I was vocal about before this match is making sure at every given opportunity today we test Man United's goalkeeper, because there's one thing. Listen, everyone's you ain't got to shoot. Even you can pass one at him at testing. But do you know what it is like? I think that a lot has been made of Onana, and I think rightly so, a lot's been made of him. But one thing I would say, when I'm literally just looking at his goalkeeping ability, when Onana does make a save, my God, he puts the ball back into a dangerous area. And I think that if you're
he does it all the time,
straight in front of him. So if you're a Mykhailo Mudryk, not that Jackson doesn't know this himself, but you get your arm around Jackson before this match and you say, by the way, mate, I'm going to have a pop from range a few times, so please follow it in.
Yeah.
And Man United on the attack here.
Oh, save!
Oh.
Fucking hell, Sanchez.
Shot by Garnacho, and Sanchez gets down.
Was that Højlund who had the shot there?
Was it Højlund?
They're both blonde.
Yeah, that's Hoyland.
Ball over the top to Hoyland, and he hit it early, which was very clever, actually. Luckily, Sanchez got down quick enough. Good save.
We spoke about stats being deceiving a few times. I do genuinely think they are a bit deceiving with Hoyland because he's not scored in the Premier League yet. He's done all right in the Champions League, but, he's not scored in the Premier League. He's not even assisted in the Premier League, I don't think. But actually, on the eye, you look at him sometimes and you think, God, you have got a bit about you. Like, you surely when it happens for you, it could be under a different manager at this rate, but it will start to come good. I do think Hoyland is definitely one that the fan base, despite the lack of goals in the league so far, are still probably sat there very confident about.
Yeah, when I watch Hoyland, I see bags of potential. I actually wish Newcastle had him. I think he'd be such a good striker, like for us, where he actually gets a bit more service and probably good coaching. I think the main thing with Man United with him is it's never
Ball into the box.
You see the desire from him. He has the desire. He knows where to be. I put his lack of Premier League goals down to the shit service. Because the wingers of Manchester United, Anthony, how many assists has he got? Rashford, how many assists has he got? They're his favourites. They've been Ten Hag's two favourites, and only recently has Garnacho managed to creep in because of the lack of quality from those two. I mean, as a lone striker, you need good service, and Bruno Fernandes even this season hasn't been at his best. I mean, he's hit some beautiful goals, last-minute jobs, but the Bruno Fernandes playing the through balls like we used to see, he hasn't been like that. And if you even look at the top 5 through ball players in the Premier League, Bruno Fernandes isn't in them.
There is a Bruno in there.
There is, and he's number 1, baby. Garnacho. Thank you very much. Love it.
First 5 minutes of this game so far, Man United have started off like they've got the bit between their teeth, to be fair. So I think they've started off quite well in this game. And let's have it right, like, despite the narrative going into this game, Man United, as much as Chelsea and Man United on the attack here...
You're under a bit of fucking
pressure. Yeah, we
are
under fire here.
And it's McTominay. Ooh, and it's another corner. Chelsea have got to dig deep here.
As much as we were looking at Man United before this game, and we were thinking, right, it's almost at boiling point at Old Trafford at the moment. Crisis. Ten Hag, he's banned in the media. And normally when the story starts to unfold in this way, it only ever goes one way after this. The Man United players, if they're not buying into that narrative, will be looking at Chelsea at the moment and thinking, hold on, these boys are massively there to be got at. We're shipping goals at this moment in time. Every match you're in is an entertaining one. And as much as, Arsenal fans might beg to differ after yesterday's performance, I'll tell you what, when you're looking at moving up the league, sometimes you don't want to be in all that entertainment.
I think both teams are thinking the same thing of both teams look a bit vulnerable here.
Checking a penalty here on the VAR. He's going over to the screen.
Fucking hell, really?
It
didn't look like this might be the first time we've seen someone go over to the screen and nothing given, but I don't know.
We're going to see it given.
The angle I seen, it didn't look like, it's a stamp on the foot. That's accidental, though, surely. Oh, come on. You're not...
It's Old Trafford.
Oh, that's bollocks.
We're going to see that given. We're going to see it given.
That is bollocks, that. Come on. What is football becoming now? You can't accidentally slip over a player's foot. That's not deliberate.
There's absolutely no doubt in my mind. I mean, it's taken a while, but there's no doubt in my mind.
It's after the ball is played, though. How many times do we say in football? Like, the referee doesn't know what to do, does he? He's seen the same thing fucking times.
Enzo Fernandez there, he hasn't lunged out forward. He hasn't done anything unnatural. He's landed his foot as close as he can to the position he's left the ground in. But... inevitably, I'd be very surprised if we don't see it given.
He's given it.
We're going to see it given.
He's given it. Yeah, he's given it.
It's a penalty to Man United.
Embarrassing, man. I'm sorry, but this is... Whatever happened to clear and... I haven't got... I know people think I hate Man United or whatever, but I'm just here to watch the fucking game. And for me, clear and obvious, that is not. That is one of those things that can just happen when you run into a penalty box, you're late in. I think that's incredibly harsh, that.
Man United gifted an absolute dream start.
It wasn't even... The ball was played. Like, the thing that you were attempting to do, you did. Like...
No penalty for me as a Man United fan, they're saying in the chat. What a joke. But then a few people saying clear penalty. I suppose, do you know what the hard thing is? When you slow things down, everything looks worse.
Yeah.
When you still frame it, everything looks worse. For me, initially, not only did I think it was a penalty, I didn't even see the foul, but I think we will see Bruno Fernandes convert this.
Here we go.
Over the bar!
Sanchez with the save. I tell you what, you don't see Onana pulling those sort of ones off.
Holy shit, Bruno Fernandes tried that clever shit with the old... What was this? Did it?
This method of taking a penalty, is becoming more and more fashionable in modern day football. But do you know what it is, Brian, right?
What,
if
one-hander?
I blast a penalty, if I blast it and you save it, fair enough. But if you do that hop, skip and a jump and it gets saved, you look like a right fucking idiot.
Dick, don't you? What a dick.
Oh, God. This needs to be the thing that spurs Chelsea on here, because 10 minutes into the game, we have really not seen anywhere near enough from Chelsea. We've already got out of our own half. So this needs to spur us on a little bit now.
I think I might need to switch this. I forgot to switch my camera on. There we go. I'll tell you what, like Bruno, and to be fair to Bruno, I mean, you know what? The point you've just made is a great one.
Cole Palmer, lovely touch.
You want to hit it hard in one of the corners.
When
right?
did putting your foot through it become a crime?
I think it's a bit of a cop out, right? Because the reason why you're not putting your laces through it is because you're worried about accuracy. But if you're a Premier League footballer, you should be able to strike a ball hard and fairly accurate. Like, I don't think that's asking a lot.
No.
If I'm Highland, I'm going in the half-time going, I want them fucking penalties
Yeah,
from
I'm
now
on the next one, mate.
Yeah.
I think despite the missed penalty, of course, it's going to be raised eyebrows there. But Man United fans will be fairly confident with their start to this game.
Do you know what, though? Like, from playing Man United, the longer you go on top without scoring, the more you think, oh, fuck, it's not our day here. And I just wonder, like, mentally how that's going to impact. And I've got to give credit to Highland. One of the reasons I said I'd want him at Newcastle, and he'll never be a Newcastle player because if he's any good, Man United will keep him. But he presses really well from the front, and at Newcastle love doing that. I think it's one of the most important parts of the modern strikers game. Chelsea, we've talked recently about the lack of discipline. There's another foot went in there on Anthony. We'll see how bad it was. But I just wonder if they're falling into a bit of a trap here. It wasn't Colwell are we looking at 3 captains in a row sent off? Is that going to...
There's every chance, mate. Here we go. Cole Palmer intercepting the ball
Chelsea
here.
are on the attack and they've got to take advantage.
He's put it to Mudryk. Here we go.
Mudryk. Surely he's going to score. Oh, how's he not put that away? Oh, near post instead. It was crying to be hit across goal. Goes the near post. Josh, hearts in his mouth, bless him. He'd be sat at home crying.
You need to get that out of your feet. I'll tell you what, though. Let me give some credit here.
Jackson does
to
all right.
Nicholas Jackson. He does all right there. He does all right.
Do you know what? He still kind of fucked it, but he made sense of it at the end.
Do you know what Jackson has a tendency to do, right? Again, I get hammered sometimes in my comments for always using boxing analogies, but like Joe Joyce, okay, he's come off the back of a couple of losses, but he doesn't look pretty, but he's effective. And sometimes when Jackson gets things right, he might stumble a little bit. He might almost trip over the ball. But a lot of the time, it does end up being effective. And that little pass there to Mudryk was very good, I actually think. And I think Mudryk will be very unhappy with himself to have not got the ball out of his feet quicker.
Oh, mate, I think that was the one. I mean, look,
you put it across the face of goal.
If Jackson hits it a bit earlier, Mudryk can then control it a bit better. So it was a 6-1, half a dozen ago. Nacho's inside. Good save again by Sanchez. Sanchez having a fucking hell of a game. What a
now
touch.
Mudryk needs to run
and Chelsea
with it.
are on
Chelsea
the
are
counter.
breaking.
It's 4 versus 2. Surely you've got to make a load of this. Oh, and he's fucked it, Mudryk. What the fucking hell was that? Oh, that was terrible. That was horrendous.
So Mudryk's got 3 options there.
He's got
the pass to the right. He's got the shot himself or the pass to his left. He chooses the worst possible option you could there. Do you know what? He'd have been better off taking the shot. We've seen, especially on international duty, that Mudryk can have a pop from outside the box.
Yeah, for Ukraine, he was fucking unbelievable.
The early signs here. And by the way, we've never done a match prediction on this. Do you know what? Have I told you what my gut instinct was on this match? I don't know why. This sounds mental, but the way this season's gone, it's not that bad. 3-3 draw is my gut instinct.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. And this is why I was excited to watch this game, because both teams can put the ball in the net, but they're fucking mental at the back. But no, you know what? That was, if I'm Pochettino, that nearly worked to perfection, the counter-attack. The way, I think it was Caicedo, slipped them away there. Beautiful pass in. And I know Josh loves Mudryk, and I'm not so sure on him. I think he's an athlete, but not a great footballing brain. That to me is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, you have all the time in the world. A clever footballer makes use of time. A footballer who isn't a great footballing brain gets intimidated by time. He wants it to be too quick that he can't think about it, and it's all just quick reaction stuff. The more time he has, sometimes the worse he looks. And that's what would worry me if I was a Chelsea fan. Man United got let off massively there. That should be, when you're 4 versus 2, if you don't even work the goalkeeper, that's a crime. So, Palmer, he's fluffed it. And it's surely going to... and Man United work the keeper with Anthony, but it's not good enough. It's not hard enough. Sanchez having a good game, but that is poor from Anthony. He should have hit it way harder than that.
I've always said it. Sanchez is a good shot stopper.
Cole Palmer loses the ball, but to be fair, it came to him quite quickly, but he made a bad mistake there, and Anthony could have done a lot more with it.
We've had a super chat from a former England goalkeeper, David James.
I've met him before, you know.
Really?
Mate.
Nice bloke?
Mate, lovely,
yeah.
But mental.
Really?
Like, mental. I remember him. It was.
Careful, he's just given us $2.
No, well, from what I understand, that's all he's got left. But no, like he was.
Well,
talking,
then he's generous.
I remember him. It was on there. Do you remember? Do you ever watch? You hear about the Wembley Cup? I don't know if that was...
Yes, yeah.
Well, it was a YouTuber football, but pre-boxing, basically, was what we did beforehand. And lovely event put on by Spencer. Shout out Spencer Owen. And, we had him as, like, a guest on the show, and he was, like, telling me about... He was like, Jermaine Janis, match of the day. What's he ever done? It was fucking great. It was like...
Got a good point.
It was so good. I was like, now you mention it, like, you were England goalkeeper... Do you know what I mean?
The funny thing is, someone only asked you what you wanted for a drink.
Yeah. But I felt like there was Mudryk plays it in. And it's over here for Enzo. Again, was that a lack of a good touch from Enzo, or was that Mudryk overhitting it?
I think it was a bit of both. It was a cocktail. David James asked, he said defenders should have a night to defend their net. Yes, definitely. If the start of this game is anything to go by, there's going to be a lot of situations where these defenders are having to defend for their lives, because so far it's pretty end to end.
I've just noticed Cucurella is actually right back today.
Yeah,
he's normally left back, right?
Yeah,
he's a left footer. Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought what we were going to see was Axel Disasi right back, but actually we're seeing Levi Colwell line up at left back, where we have seen him quite a lot of this season. So, but that's not too bad. Cucurella has played at right back. He played at right back against Fulham, a match that I was at, played very, very well there. Yeah. And he also played there against Brighton in the Cup and played very, very well there. And we speak about the Harry Maguire redemption arc, right? The Cucurella one's going a little bit under the radar. Not if you're a watcher on my channel, because I don't shut up about it. But the Cucurella one is a really good one, because
it's been a turnaround, hasn't it? Yeah,
it has to an extent. We're sat 10th in the league, so I won't go too high on it. But the Cucurella one, Mikhailo Mudryk.
Cole Palmer on the attack, sorry, mate.
Mikhailo Mudryk.
And he's turned him inside to Enzo. He's got Mudryk in support. Enzo's going to hit it from distance.
I tell you what, right? Straight to the goalkeeper, but that is the right thing to do. Enzo, clearly a big watcher on my channel, when I had said to him about, taking pops, taking a shot from far out. But yeah, we speak about Cucurella, right? And I'll be very interested in the chat to hear who your biggest redemption arcs of this season are. But Cucurella, unlike Mikhailo Mudryk's a player that, I've got to be completely honest, I am a little bit disappointed, in terms of what I would have liked to have seen, especially after the cameo against Liverpool. But I would be lying if I said that I didn't think there is a possibility with Mikhailo Mudryk. Into the box from Man United, he needs to get out of his feet. And again, Chelsea
did all right there,
hanging on for life defensively. And I'll tell you what, Anthony's a player that's come under a bit of criticism, and he definitely won't be up for a redemption arc. If anything, the opposite. But he's been right involved so far in this match, hasn't he?
I mean, Silva really did well there. And I forgot about this, but we got a corner out of Manchester United. I'll bring it up in a second, but I was going to ask you about Kai Havertz.
Yeah,
Corner ball in, flicked on, and it was flashed across goal, and Sanchez was in no man's land a little bit. Cole Palmer is tackled in a really bad position by Anthony, who feeds it, and Chelsea come away with it. Oh, and it's terrible from, who was that? Jackson. Jackson can't even stay on his feet, Christ. Oh, and it's into Garnacho to
Harry Maguire.
McTominay. 1-0 Man United, and it's been coming. When Chelsea have had the ball, they've fluffed their lines, and Man United's pressure has come to fruition. Well, mate.
Too easy to cut through. Way too easy.
Not good. Got to say, when Harry Maguire and Scott McTominay are queuing up on the edge of your box for a shot, you're asking for trouble, Chelsea. Not good enough. Not good enough.
We were speaking earlier on about...
And the fact that this came from a bad ball from Nicholas Jackson, who then falls over after he delivers it, shambolic, and there's so much space. The four of Chelsea are not organised. They're not there's no man marking going on. It was an absolute mess here.
Yeah, not great from Chelsea so far. I mean, defensively, it's a shambles. You know, we're starting a left back at right back, and that's all well and good, but where is our right back in that position? The ball is just thread straight through. And again, you see Thiago Silva sort of trying to point out and organise his defence there. And he's saying exactly what I'm saying in terms of where was the right back there, where was the cover. This is the thing with Chelsea
but
at the
also,
moment.
only 4 defenders in the box at the time. Now, when you're getting attacked on like that, you've got solid midfielders in the centre of the park. You're on the counter-attack right now. It's Nicholas Jackson inside. Oh, and he pisses it about. It's another bad pass. That's Mudryk and Nicholas Jackson now, who in key areas for Chelsea have not done the right thing.
Yeah, I was an advocate of maybe starting Amanda Broha in this match.
You did, yeah. You said that
and this was something that riled people up. And let's remember, we're 20 minutes into the game. Man United, very much, in my opinion, the team that are on top, although we've had chances. But I do think that when I was looking at Amanda Broha in this game so far, the point I was trying to make was Nicholas Jackson, given the amount of opportunities he's had, hasn't done anything so far to tell me that he's levels above Amanda Broha. And Amanda Broha, despite obviously the injury setbacks and whatnot, when he has been on the field, he's had some important moments for us. You know, he scored against Fulham. He won the penalty late on against Manchester City. And he is a player that is strong, physical, and give defences some problems. So I would have liked to have seen him start this match, especially when we've also got to remember Nicholas Jackson's off to the African Cup of Nations in about 3 weeks' time. And you're looking at that and you're thinking, well, when he goes, unless we play Nkunku in the 9 all of a sudden, who at the minute is still not even fit and available for the bench, we're going to have to rely on Amanda Broha.
We've seen Nicholas Jackson give the ball away badly for the goal. We've seen him in front of goal look completely discombobulated. If I was a Chelsea fan at this point, I think Nicholas Jackson is borderline an Onana level signing. Like because when he makes mistakes, they're so horrendous. I want to pull my hair out, and I'm not even supporting the club. But one thing I would be disappointed for right now, and this is a bit of a concern, is Chelsea have 2 very, very good midfielders that they spent a lot of money on, who can't control a football match. In multiple games of football now, I've watched them struggle to control the game. Fair enough, right? Against Man City, it's Man City. But against Manchester United, if I was to look at the weakest part of their squad, looking at Amrabat and McTominay, it would be that midfield. And for me, Chelsea are really struggling to slow the game down, keep a hold of the ball. And that midfield battle right now is being comfortably won by Manchester United. And at some point, pressure's going to start mounting on those boys to step up, because, like, as much as we understand, like, price tags are just that, right? Like, the price tag of a player does not mean you're guaranteed quality. And in fact, we know that because when you look at all of the £100 million players, I think only one of them or 2 of them arguably has gone well. That's like Grealish and Declan Rice. And even Grealish isn't exactly setting the world on fire. So, money isn't automatic guarantee, but In this game, I need to see more from Enzo and what's his name? Sorry, Caicedo. Yeah.
Ironically, I think that when you look at Nicholas Jackson and the comparison to Onana, I think the thing with that is Man United got rid of. I don't know whether the word club legend is too far to go.
I think it was a hell of a servant.
But a real servant to the club in David De Gea. Not only that, Onana was brought in and he was sort of credited before a ball was kicked as being the part of the puzzle that was going to give Man United a completely different dynamic, being able to play out from the back. Nicholas Jackson has a magnifying glass shone on him because of the Nkunku injury. And because the reason I say that is, if you look at Mauricio Pochettino, right, I think that there's every chance that Mauricio Pochettino had planned to play this season with Nkunku at number 9 or playing a false 9 system. And maybe Nicholas Jackson was almost an afterthought for Pochettino. But when the situation arose that Nkunku was out for injury and Amanda Broja was coming back from a long-term injury that is very hard to recover from, then the light is thrust onto Nicholas Jackson. It's like, okay, you've come in for... in today's market, I'm not going to say cheap, but not a massive amount, 30 odd million. And all of a sudden, you're looked at as the number 9. And here Jackson goes, and it's a good layoff.
Oh, it's a penalty.
It's a penalty. It's got to be a penalty.
He's not giving it. Oh, I thought it was a penalty.
Let's VAR that then. Let's see it go both ways.
Oh, wow.
Now they've given a free kick, so this is now the opportunity to have a look at the VAR.
We are going to see the replay. He turns Lindelof, who clips the feet of Sterling. That angle wasn't great. He touches the feet. Is it enough though?
It's soft. It would be soft, but I do think.
And the referee's confirmed they're talking to me, and I'll let you know. So we'll see. I do think it wasn't the level of contact. As if you were a Chelsea fan, if you're not watching this, you're wanting a bit more contact to guarantee the penalty.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like they've given it. Mind you, it looked like a penalty in real time.
Yeah, it looked bad. It looked bad at the time.
Yeah, never a penalty, says the chat. In real time, it did look that way to me, but the level of contact was minimal. What I will say about Jackson, although I'm giving him a hard time, he's winning the ball back a lot for a striker. Like, it's very rare you see a striker win the ball back this much. So, yeah, he's doing well in that sense. Enzo.
He's on the floor again, Jackson, now.
Takes the foul.
Just had a little tumble on his own.
I feel like Enzo and Caicedo need another man in the middle. You know how Newcastle play with the 3?
Listen, they need a Conor Gallagher there.
Yeah.
Ironically, he was sent off in the last match, but they really do need a Conor Gallagher. And when we looked at the Man United midfield, obviously, look, Kobbie Mainoo's come into the team and come under a lot of praise, actually.
Palmer,
when we looked at that,
terrible.
When we looked at that Man United midfield, one of the things we were saying before the game is they've gone for legs in there, really. And Sofiane Amrabat has had a couple of bad performances as a Man United player, but so far in this game, I think this is probably the best I've seen him play in the first 20, 25 odd minutes of this game. And McTominay, we know what we're getting from him this season. This is one of the reasons why Ten Hag can rely on the likes of Scott McTominay, a Luke Shaw, a Harry Maguire, because at the end of the day, the way these guys see themselves is they do see themselves staying at Man United and they see themselves outstaying the manager a lot of the time. So
he's gone for people who play for the club even if they don't play for him. And speaking of the devil, the Red Devil, Scott McTominay, lovely bit of football to Delors. There's too much space down the wings. Again, falls to Garnacho. He's going to try and look for someone in the middle. Plays it. Oh, and it's fantastic from Garnacho. But Højlund can't get on the end of it. Chelsea, again, getting carved open. And we've seen this with the goal, right? You had 4 defenders in the middle, but no one not enough covering the wings at times. Just disorganised.
We got to call it for what it is. Chelsea can't defend to save their lives. Our defence is awful.
It's not looking great, mate. No. And going back to what you were saying, what we were saying about the 3-man in the midfield situation, without Conor Gallagher, you've got 3 who are more. You've replaced them with Palmer. Palmer's an attacking, like he's like a Mesut Ozil, right? He reminds me a bit of Ozil in that he loves to stay forward, lovely little dinks here and there, threading the ball through. But is he going to track back in the same way a Conor Gallagher would and get the foot in, you know? And in a game like this, where Man United know they need a result, I think Conor Gallagher's a big miss, actually. And I really rate Palmer. I'd rather have Palmer out wide, though, where he can be allowed the option of not doing the dog work, because I just don't think that this is the best position for him.
I think the sooner we see Romeo Lavia come back into this Chelsea side, the sooner...
you push Enzo forward and put him in this place, I would assume.
Yeah, I do think so. Because I just sort of look at that Chelsea midfield at the minute. And do you know what? Like, Caicedo gets about, but he isn't massively physical. Like, he's quite a lightweight guy if you look at him. The fourth official here is having a...
You know how we're talking about the you know how we're talking about Chelsea's defending? There's certain things that can really hinder a manager's reputation. Dropping Reece James and then defending this badly, it's not a good look.
If Reece James isn't carrying a knock, it's a head scratcher. But then at the same time, as I say, if he's looking at Disasi and he's happy with the job that Disasi did for him in that last game against Brighton, and remember, okay, we conceded 2 goals, and myself and Josh were speaking about this, and we were saying, how highly can you praise the defence when they've conceded 2 goals? But you got to remember, we played an hour of that match with 10 men. And Disasi himself, if he's happy with his performance, then I can see the justification in keeping him in that lineup. But we all know it. Like, I've sat around the kickoff table and said it to you guys. We are a different team with Reece James in. How different is that team? Maybe a 10th place to an 8th place finish, but there's no denying we are a different team with Reece James in.
He's the closest thing to world class that you've got, though, isn't he? Like, he's the if you
at
were
this
to go,
moment in time, yeah.
If I was to look through the entire Chelsea team, like I do with my own team sometimes, and I go, like, all right, what level are these players on? Who breaks into the top 5 in their positions in the world, for example? Because if you're ever going to achieve anything, you need as many of those kind of players as possible. Reece James, and it's not a good pass out from Sanchez.
What is that?
Oh, shit, Chelsea are capitulating here a little bit. This has been a horrendous first half for Chelsea, looking back at it. As I was saying, Reece James is the one who I could look at and go, is he top 5 in his position in the world right now by stats? No. But has he got the ability to be? Yes, he has. And so to leave him out, I didn't know. Look, as far as we're aware, the only reason he's out is because he missed the last game through suspension and maybe he didn't want to throw him in at the deep end. Don't understand it, mate. Like. And I think every Chelsea fan now is probably hoping he's carrying a knock, because otherwise you're then questioning your manager's judgment. Like, well, what the fuck were you thinking there, mate?
But we both know here, like, this is a season-defining game. So it's one thing, saying, do we throw him straight back in at the deep end? Listen, there's nothing wrong with, here we go, Man United on the attack.
Bruno
again
Fernandes,
here.
left side.
Chelsea completely...
Good from Cucurella.
Do you know what this is giving me shades of, right? We sat around the table for the kickoff and we watched Chelsea beat Spurs 4-1. And it was like every time Chelsea moved the ball forward, we go.
Oh, what a save! Double save from Sanchez. McTominay heads, comes back out after Sanchez saves the first, and then McTominay hits it right at him again. And this is the maddest thing. It's 1-0 and Sanchez is actually man of the match. Oh my God, that is horrendous defending. Again, free man in the middle, no one covering. This is alarm bells.
When Chelsea...
and Chelsea are through.
Here we go.
It's Raheem Sterling. He's got to score. It's Jackson. He takes the touch and he fucks it completely. Why does he not hit it first time? Penny for your thoughts, bro, because that was unbelievable.
You just got to take it
first time. He doesn't have the
time.
confidence.
You've got to take it first time.
You've got to hit it straight away. He bottled it.
He wants the perfect shot. He wants to take a touch first, and unfortunately, you might get that.
That's not Premier League quality, though.
Yeah, you might get that playing for Villarreal and playing against some of the lower level sides in the Liga.
Maybe.
But I tell you what, even against a struggling Man United team, you're not going to get that opportunity.
Shocking,
You're not going to get that extra second. You need to be more clinical in that situation. It's not a good showing from Chelsea so far. I think that...
You know the point about the Spurs game? You've nailed it. Because this is a lot like the Spurs game to me.
Spurs had 9 men on the field, Brian.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Even
but every
prior to
time
that,
Man United
yeah.
decide to pile on a bit of pressure here, straight away, all of a sudden, what happens? All the Chelsea players are running back to defend because they've cut through us. And do you know what? The thing is, people are going to... We're getting a lot of stick on the kickoff at the minute for, in my opinion, calling it out is. But do you know what the worst problem is? Man United haven't been that good.
Yeah.
They've not been that good. They've not been electric, have they? We have just been very, very poor defensively here.
This is the maddest thing is when Newcastle bossed Manchester United at St James's, it was a sign of, okay, this is not the same Manchester United. Man United are so on top here, it's staggering. And even though they're giving up the counter attack there, which we didn't see the build up of because of the replay of what had just happened with Scott McTominay, it could be 4-0 here. I mean, there's a penalty. Scott McTominay had a massive chance. There's been multiple big chances. It could be 4.
I've had a bit of stick in the chat there for saying Man United haven't been good. By Man United's standards of obviously how they were in a match against Newcastle and even how they have been in some of the matches they've got over the line in like the Fulham game, of course, they've been elevated in this match. They have been better. But what I'm saying here is if you were seeing Chelsea cut to ribbons every time the team went forward and you were in there with Bayern Munich, you were in there with, Real Madrid or Manchester City for that point, then, okay, you'd still be disappointed, but you could sort of understand it. But when you're seeing this level from this Man United side who have not been pulling up trees this season. Yeah,
I think the point is if you've got a free man in the box, you don't have to be good. No. Yeah, like when Scott McTominay is arriving in the box and he's got a centre-back 5 metres apart, like he's got all the space and time in the world to get off not one, but 2 shots, 1 header and then a rebound off the keeper. I mean, it's embarrassing from Chelsea. This is where pressure, will start to mount on Pochettino because we're looking at an unacceptable performance now. We're not looking at teams not gelling, yada, yada, yada. Certain things under a manager, they supersede the current problems. Like, you can get away with we're building for the future, yada, 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 but you can't do that when it's embarrassing. Yeah, like, you can get away with, like, Eddie Howe had a few losses here and there in his first season with Newcastle. Fine. But, you got to get through those periods. But this is a bit embarrassing so far for Chelsea. In a game where everyone was quite hopeful, and that was the run here from Raheem Sterling from deep. It was a hell of a run from Sterling. And unfortunately...
You've just got to put your left foot through that.
This is the moment where you look at Jackson in this game, giving the ball away carelessly. Don't get me wrong, he's done all right in terms of winning it back.
And it's
Mudryk.
Through to Mudryk.
And another
again,
real
Mudryk
chance.
Can't get it out his feet in time.
Oh, wow. Mudryk and Jackson, for me, are so similar in the fact that they're trying, they're athletic, but technically, there's major questions. Not good enough again. I mean, he got the shot away, but I'm thinking at least work the keeper.
I mean, both men there showing a lack of a weak foot. Nicholas Jackson didn't want to take the chance on his left foot when it rolls across. Mudryk wants to take it on his right and ends up bringing it wide.
Yeah.
And this is the problem. And it comes back to the point I was making when I was saying about Man United not being that good here. We've got to remember, right? Chelsea have had the opportunities here. Man United are playing well and they're playing better than they have been, but they are there to potentially be got at. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had the opportunities we've had so far. But Chelsea are just not showing any of that killer instinct.
If there's one thing that Chelsea can take, a bit of positive from is when you've gone forward, Man United look a shambles as well. It's just that you're not going forward enough. And you're giving the ball away horrendously under not a lot of pressure.
One of the problems here I'm seeing is it's probably no secret to anyone watching. Cole Palmer's not having the greatest game in a Chelsea shirt so far, but I think his responsibility with the lack of obviously having Conor Gallagher in that midfield is heightened in terms of he's having to do more running. Point. Yeah, and he's having to do a lot more here than he usually is having to do, and I think that's hindering him.
Scott McTominay's gone down injured. We'll see how bad this looks. To be fair to him, I don't think that anyone's done anything to him. I think he's gone in on a 50-50. No man. Was it number 26? Who was that? Colwell.
Colwell.
Colwell went in 50-50. Wasn't anything in it, but he looks really quite badly in pain here. Bruno Fernandes has gone over to check on him. I mean, to be fair to McTominay, he's had a really solid game here, and I think his effort levels have been fantastic.
We're being asked in the chat to continue giving our thoughts around the recent resurgence of King Kai Havertz.
Can I get a whiskey coke, please, bartender? Thank you.
I'll have a vodka cloudy lemonade.
A vodka
please.
cloudy lemonade
Bartender.
as well, sir.
Bartender.
Cheers. Thank you, mate.
Cheers.
So, you know what? I'll let the Chelsea man take this one because you've seen him through a lot of ups and downs.
Yep.
You obviously didn't expect it to go well from Arsenal. And look, is it going great for him? I don't know. What do you make of this?
I think that the team you're playing in, and this sounds very ignorant and sort of almost a dumbed down way of saying things, but the team that you're playing in is going to make a massive difference. But because when you're calling on someone to lead a team that, let's say, for example, last season finished mid-table, compared to when you're in a team with, guys that are going for the title, your performances are going to be elevated, I think. I think Mykhailo Mudryk, we're looking at him now and we're saying he's been subpar, but let's not forget that Arsenal were in for Mudryk. And do I believe, regardless of the actual manager being able to bring it out of him, if Mudryk is in an Arsenal team, has he shown a little bit more than what he has in this Chelsea team by now? I'd say yeah. So I think that Kai Havertz's recent goal record is looking pretty good. And the Arsenal fans are warming to him. And one thing that Kai Havertz does do, and this is something Arteta shouted him out for, is he shows a lot of fight when you ask him to. But I just don't think, and I could be wrong here, but if Arsenal fans are hanging their hat on Kai Havertz to be a man that's delivering 20 goal involvements per season, I don't think you're going to get that from Kai Havertz, because I do think that he runs hot and cold, and you won't have a massive level of consistency for him. But you can't deny the fact, thank you very much, bartender, that in his last few games, he's looking good for Arsenal. He's doing well.
I'm very
Is he doing £65 million worth of well? Because, I mean, how much did you sign Anthony Gordon for?
40.
40.
Seems like a bargain now, that.
You could send them some more, if anything. They are struggling.
No, real talk. We're playing Everton tomorrow, and I'm interested to see how that goes.
Do you think Everton will get out of it, by the way? Because I'm looking at it, and I'm going, Sheffield United are down, without a doubt. Yeah. Burnley, you should be looking at and saying, well, you guys are down too. But the problem with Burnley is they do show glimpses of easier on-the-eye football and identity, or more glimpses, I should say, than Sheffield United do. But if you're just looking purely at results, you're saying Burnley are down as well.
Oh, God, it's terrible.
Another poorly timed tackle from Caicedo there, and he's going to get himself a...
Is he? Oh, no, that's just a free kick.
I'm looking at it and I'm saying, Luton Town, Luton are real decent, Luton are performing to a good level for what they've got in their ranks. They've got Andros Townsend on the field. You know what I mean?
I would bet Everton do get out of it.
At the expense of?
Either Luton or Forest or Bournemouth right now. Sorry to give you a vague answer. I think Luton are the most likely casualty. I could be wrong. I really thoroughly enjoyed the way Luton played football. I thought they defended with everything against Arsenal, and I was actually impressed. I was like, "Fuck me, you put a real effort in here." But when I'm looking at the goal difference, and you see that Everton have conceded 10 less goals than Luton, that's not an accident. That's Sean Dyche, motherfucker. Do you know what I mean? The guy. Yeah. I'm interested to see how they go on against us tomorrow, because I think it's going to be a hard game at Goodison, and the Anthony Gordon factor is a fun one. He's literally an academy guy. I think I don't know if he was a Liverpool fan, but played for Everton.
I think he may well have
kind of the opposite of Jamie Carragher, right?
Yeah.
And he had this whole thing of when he left there, I think some of the fans were giving him shit. I'm pretty sure he was driving his big old car, and they got this road block there, and they were giving his fucking car a load of crap or whatever, giving him shit. And I think that they won't be. I think he'll celebrate if he scores against them. I think it's, and I think it's not even just a little bit. I think they made it. I think the Everton fans made it horrible for him to leave, and I think he'll rub it in.
Well, I look at our game against Brighton on the weekend, and obviously we've took, it's no secret, probably half of Brighton's team, including a couple of managers at the time. But when Levi Colwell scores the goal against Brighton, he didn't celebrate. He went to celebrate and didn't celebrate because obviously former Brighton player and whatnot. At the same time as that, Caicedo celebrating for both of them, and he was running the midfield at Brighton.
Yeah.
So I do think that it comes down to personal preference. If I'm Anthony Gordon, I'm celebrating. Because you know what it is. You can't. If the fans are giving you stick, you're within your right to celebrate. It's like you having a massive go at the missus and saying, yeah, you don't take care of yourself, and she goes, you put on a few pounds too, and you go, oh my God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't have it both ways.
Bang on, by
you
the
really
way.
can't have it both ways.
Fans are like, we're so fucking stupid, right? So yeah, I agree. And interestingly, in terms of how good is Anthony Gordon, I think that is the real. I'm not sure. Like right now, like I'm looking and going. Like you made a really good comparison on the kickoff the other day about Wayne Rooney, Euro 20.
Here we go. Cole Palmer
Got the chance to get the shot away. Oh yes! Oh! What a finish from Cole Palmer! I compared this kid to Mesut Ozil earlier in the stream, and Mesut would be happy with that finish. What a clever goal!
Great play from Cole Palmer. And do you know what? I was thinking there, he couldn't get the ball out of his feet enough.
Difficult.
Cole Palmer has come back against an old rival of his, being a former Manchester City player and actually growing up a Man United fan. And that's a great goal.
You know what, right? That.
Can I address the elephant in the room here?
Go on then.
You know what I'm going to say. I think the chat know what I'm going to say. It's not great goalkeeping, is it? Andre Onana, surely you got to be getting down to that, ain't you?
Mate, it was so slow.
Slow-mo?
No, when, I don't know if you lot have seen this, but when I was young, when your grandmother was getting old, you had what we called a Stana stairlift, and it would bring her down the stairs for her, but it would be ever so slow, so you're there, right? You're all right, Nana? Yep, any minute now. It took its fucking time. And to be fair, the defender's position, it was the only possible angle the kid could have fit the ball through, and he somehow managed to squeeze it through. But what he had to do was sacrifice power for accuracy, and he did that. But what that should have done is given the keeper, I don't know, all fucking day to get a hold of it. He hasn't
got many options on there, Cole Palmer. You sort of know what he's going to do there.
Wow. Mate, you must be fucking buzzing, because you lot haven't been good here. You've been terrible, in fact. You haven't been good.
Yeah, we've been shit. We've been shit. But I tell you what, as much as I've quoted Man United a fair few times this season, I did say, on occasion, if I could be in that situation, having not played the nicest football, but be in a situation where I am still in there within a chance of getting Champions League football, if it does turn right for me, I would have took that sort of position in the league.
You've silenced this crowd, though.
Yeah.
I bet you Old Trafford right now was like, fuck.
But listen, we need to push on here. This is the main thing, because I tell you what, right? In times gone by, Chelsea have had seasons when they've been mid-table, you know. But I remember when Spurs turned up at Stamford Bridge with the opportunity to pretty much propel themselves to a league title, what did we do? Despite what we had done in the league and how poor we had been, we went, right, let's ruin their party here. And Chelsea have an opportunity here to go, right, okay, let's really stick the knife into the Ten Hag coffin here, and let's get this man the sack, and let's make sure
let's put these bastards out their misery.
Yeah, we're listen.
You're doing them a favour.
All eras come to an end. So,
you know what though, the Onana era is one I'm really enjoying.
Have we got any closer to finding out what Ten Hag is in these last couple of weeks? Because we've asked the question time and time again. What is Ten Hag?
I've got no idea, bro. And the interesting thing is, obviously, Nick Pope is now injured for Newcastle, 4 months shoulder injury. I mean, what the fucking hoodoo has gone on with Newcastle? Is that Josh saying Mudryk assist? Yeah, you can fuck right off if you think Mudryk gets an assist for that. Honestly, he left him with about 4 men to beat. That's not an assist.
He was present.
Shut up, man.
He was on the pitch.
Look, right now, Mudryk has had a piss poor game, in my opinion. Like that, he's had a couple of good moments where he could have done something. But to be fair,
Josh's blood boiling.
To
right
be
now.
fair, though, Jackson's been worse. Jackson's been horrendous.
I don't think Jackson has been worse. I think you're sort of to use a phrase of yours, picking your poison here.
Yeah.
But I think Jackson's been a little bit better, maybe.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, Jackson's actually been more threatening in a defensive sense. He's won the ball back. He's been more of a thorn in the side. It's just in the big moments he shit the bed. Whereas, Mudryk's just shit the bed.
I'm hoping in the second half we're looking at the bench of Chelsea and we're thinking, okay, we see Reece James come on, hopefully offer us some stability, and I would say better sort of delivery into the box than we're seeing down that right-hand side, obviously, from Cucurella. However, the elephant in the room here is when you look at Man United's bench, regardless of the form he's in, which for my money is quite poor at the minute, Marcus Rashford would be sitting there and looking at the opportunities Man United are getting time in, time out here and thinking, I need to be on the end.
And with Marcus Rashford, I don't know if you remember last season, he arrived late for training. He got dropped for a game against Wolves. And Man United were as bad in that game as they have been most of this season. It was another game where performance was terrible, but individual brilliance was needed to bail Ten Hag out of the shit show that is his tactics. But to be fair, Rashford came on, I think he scored 2, looked fucking unbelievable. So a Marcus Rashford with a point to prove is something I find more intimidating than Rashford who's in his comfort zone. He might be highly motivated by this right now. There's 8 minutes, by the way, of added time for a first half. I've never seen that ever in my life.
Brian, you spoke about the goalkeeping situation at Newcastle in a minute. And obviously, the first thing that most of the media outlets, a lot of YouTubers are doing is saying, right, okay, will it be Ramsdale? Will it be De Gea? But obviously, we do need to remember, you've got
Dubravka.
Yeah.
I think they'll give Dubravka till the end of December, and maybe a week into January. They're going to give him a minute, see how he gets on, because Dubravka really is a decent goalkeeper. The worry is if Dubravka gets an injury, what are you doing then? You know what I mean? Man United appealed for a penalty. Cucurella went for a sliding block. I don't think it was a penalty.
Out of the two, if you were to look at David De Gea and then Aaron Ramsdale, who would be the preferred choice? Because from an outsider looking in, as much as Ramsdale, maybe not in the last few performances, but I think it's been hard for him with the situation he's been put in by Arteta. Out of the two, I feel like David De Gea is the better suit, because then all of a sudden you've lost a really good shot stopper who's not known for his ball playing abilities, and you've brought in pretty much a like for like, maybe just not as good as Nick Pope at this moment.
Yeah, I'd get, you know why I do it? What I do is I'd get David De Gea for the rest of the season, and then I'd go, look, we can't guarantee you're going to play, because if Dubravka's doing all right, we'll give him the rest of the season, but we need backup, and we'll give you some good wages in the process. And guess what? You'll get to come back to the Premier League, finish above Manchester United, and prove your point a little bit. But then in the meantime, we should be scouting the European elite young goalkeepers, like we've done with all of the other positions, from Botman, Tonali, Bruno, Gordon, Isak, all of those kind of players. I've got no doubt that there must be a goalkeeper that they've got as their preferred option. But goalkeepers are so important. Like, for me, everyone bangs on about the Liverpool legacy, Van Dijk, Mo Salah, all of these level of players. But getting Alisson was one of the main reasons why they won the Champions League. They won the Premier League. That can be the difference between winning a league.
He's got more Premier League goals than Højlund so far. So,
yeah.
You know.
But if we're not ready to sign that guy, whoever he might be, then get a De Gea in and go, look, let's use the next 4 to 5 months and make sure we've got some top quality. Look, Nick Pope isn't a good footballing goalkeeper either, but he's a shot stopper. And Dubravka's a shot stopper. De Gea's a shot stopper. So let's just get a decent shot stopper in and carry on. We have got Karius.
Yep.
Exactly. Let's look at some of the other goals, by the way, in the Premier League, because I haven't Wait there, let me just check in Premier League. So Liverpool are beating Sheffield United, but it's only 1-0 and it's in the 77th minute. Another big result for them. Fulham, who had not been great at times this season, all of a sudden are going on a little bit of a run. They've won 4-0 or winning 4-0 against Nottingham Forest. So they're banging the goals in. Palace losing at home to Bournemouth. God, that's bad for them. Like Bournemouth aren't great.
Palace started off looking half decent.
Yeah.
I, before a ball was kicked, said that if there was going to be a surprise in the relegation battle, probably a lot because of the loss of Zaha, and obviously at the time it was looking like Elise was going to go as well. He's coming back to fitness now. But I was saying that Palace could have been the ones that were surprisingly drawn in there. And last few games they haven't looked good, Palace.
Yeah.
But I think the bottom of the table's so weak that.
We got half time, by the way. So yeah, shout out to Josh, if you could just pause the timer. Thank you very much. Brighton 2, Brentford 1, 74 minutes played. And the biggest result so far, Aston Villa 0, Manchester City 0. Looking at the stats here, 13 shots from Aston Villa, 2 shots from Manchester City.
Oh, no.
5 on target from Villa. 2 from Man City.
And we all know what happens if Villa win this.
They go above Man City on the table.
They go above them. Let me tell you something,
December.
Right? Craig, obviously, Craig's a big Man City fan. He's a fan of Pep Guardiola. He likes the style of football and he appreciates Pep Guardiola as a manager. But Craig was saying to me, saying to us in general around the table, that we were being very harsh on Manchester City this season. Now, there's a saying, isn't there? You never meet a poor bookmaker. The bookies are usually right. Do you know what odds Villa were before a ball was kicked to win today against Manchester City? Villa are doing well. They're at home. But Man City are the treble winners. They're Man City. Villa was 7-4.
Wow.
It's not even money.
Yeah.
Against Manchester City.
It just shows
and
that
does
they're frightened.
that not tell you that if there's any season for Manchester City to be got at, it really is this season. You look at them against the bigger teams, okay? Newcastle, they did well. I would argue that at that point in the season, Newcastle were actually struggling. Ironically, now, seeing as they've got this big list of injuries, they were struggling a little bit more to find their feet.
We hadn't found our feet. We didn't get dominated, but we lost 1-0.
Okay.
And it was away.
Failed to beat Liverpool.
Yeah.
Failed to beat Arsenal, lost in that match.
Yeah.
Okay, failed to beat Chelsea. Failed to beat Tottenham. The only team they did beat is Man United, and we all know how Man United have been performing against the big boys. And before you get in the chat, Chelsea are not a big boy this season, just yet. Till we start winning, and then I'll be, But yeah, what I'm saying is you're looking at Manchester City so far, and obviously sprinkle in amongst that, obviously the loss to Wolves and a couple of other results that maybe haven't gone their way. And I'm looking at it this season, and I'm going, I'm not saying it's a turning of the garden. I think a lot of Manchester City fans would have took last season, maybe not winning the league this season, if they could have traded it in for the treble win that will go down in history last season. But we can't keep burying our head in the sand here and saying, no, City are just as good. We all know what they do in January. We do all know what they do in January. But I tell you what, usually when January comes, they're sat second, if not top in the table by that point. And there's a strong possibility that this year when January comes, I'm not saying they're right down there, but they could be third or fourth. And then it makes it a little bit more tricky. And you've got two teams in Arsenal and Liverpool who I do think are going massively under the radar, who are really, really levelling up as time goes on and breathing down their neck at the moment.
And speaking of the difference between how Man City usually kick on in January, what they don't have this season is 5 goals in 10 assists from Mahrez last season, and from Gundogan, 8 goals and 4 assists. So, that's in the region of, 27 goal involvements. Massive. So,
and to put a little bit of context on that, I watched Manchester City a lot, especially last season, their treble season. Those guys were first team players. They weren't the first names on the team sheet every single time.
Yeah.
Mahrez wasn't starting every single match when he was putting up them sort of numbers. So
there was only 2 players who got more goal involvements from the midfield, and that was De Bruyne and Foden.
Yep.
But to be fair, I think that Gundogan obviously brought a lot to the team, and I think that that's been undervalued and underestimated, and I don't think that's been replenished either. So I just think that Pep has made a little bit of a mistake in thinking, yeah, we're fine, we can continue on as normal, and Arsenal went and gone and bought Declan Rice. You know, huge change, huge level up. And Liverpool with Slobozai, another huge level up for them. So I think that, as I've said from the summer, Man City aren't as strong as last season. It's just whether or not these two can actually maintain their form. We're seeing some of the replay now from the first half. Honestly, I'm shocked it's 1-1. I think Chelsea have done so well, even though the goal that Chelsea scored was harder than the chance that Mudryk missed,
10
than the
times
chance
harder.
that Jackson missed.
10 times harder.
Yeah. But that shows the quality of Cole Palmer, and Joey's been singing his praises all year, so he knows more than anyone. Chelsea can't come out in the second half and let it carry on the way it did in the first half, though.
No, Mauricio Pochettino really needs to put a bit of spring in the step of Chelsea in this second half.
Would you bring on Reece?
I'd bring on Reece straight away. I think that, do you know one of my one of the things that annoys me the most about the modern game of football is when we were younger, right? A half-time sub was all the rage. We loved a half-time sub. Everyone used to do a half-time sub. Now it's like 70th minute, 80th minute, and I'm not actually talking about your team, Newcastle, because you went, what was it, 200 minutes without a sub not long ago.
Yeah, but we don't have subs. Like, we just don't have the players.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But nowadays, I do find, even when you've got a strong bench there, it's so often, you know, we're not making subs until the 70th, 80th minute. And I think you need to be sort of proactive rather than reactive and be able to look at a game straight away and go, right, we will change this right now. So I think that Reece James is definitely a shout of being brought on. And look, we're going on the how the game went and how the gameplay was in that match. And we're saying Chelsea are lucky to be going in level at half time. But let's not remember, maybe it's just me and you sat here, but there was a little bit of a feeling around the penalty that was given. Obviously,
we're watching this penalty, right?
Yeah.
Bruno Fernandes,
It's not great.
he hits it like such a soft twat. Like, mate, you've got to put some bloody beef behind the ball, man. What the fuck was that, honestly?
There's been a little bit of a media storm in the past day or so, and it actually came from Anthony, who I would actually say he ain't been playing £85 million worth of good, but he's not been playing bad compared to some of the performances I've seen from him so far. And he looks like he's trying to cut out a lot of the bullshit, i.e. all the step overs that lead nowhere. But Anthony had a right go at some of the Old Trafford legends in terms of Gary Neville, Roy Keane. And he said that they're very quick to call out the players without giving constructive criticism.
That's just a lie.
Sort of doesn't know how the media works.
No, but like equally, like when they say, what the fuck are you doing that for? It's because you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't always have to be like, and you should do this, this, and this, and this. Like, it's kind of obvious, a lot of what they say, right?
And without coming to the defence of Gary Neville, I do listen to the Gary Neville podcast, which features Gary Neville. Yeah. It's always good to have Gary Neville.
My favourite guest on that is Gary Neville.
I like Gary Neville on that, yeah. And I do actually hear him give a lot of constructive criticism on that. So, you know, it's an ironic one. But sometimes
the point is about Anthony. He said something along the lines of, you know, that it's not about the truth anymore, you know, with the new media and whatever. And I'm like, you know what the truth is? You've played 35 fucking Premier League games and you've got 4 goals and 2 assists. There's the truth. Do you know? Look,
yeah,
I'm not saying
but to be fair to him, he was coming into an unknown league. He hasn't played it. Judge him off his second season. He's played 11 games.
We're in the second season.
Oh, we're in the second season.
No,
11 games.
Season,
oh, right. 11 games. How many goals and assists so far? Has he got any of them?
None.
No.
Zero. Zilch. Nada.
Oh, God, I was trying to stick up for you there.
Zip. Zilch. Yeah. Whatever number you can think of. Look, the thing is, it was interesting to see certain fans backing what he said and certain fans going against it. I understand, right? Real talk. It must be hard being a Premier League footballer and like literally seeing people slagging you off all the time, right? Fair play. But the reality is, you can't talk back until you do something yourself, right? Like your record in this league is average, and you were paid, you know, you were signed for a world-class level of money. You were signed to be an 8.5 minimum out of 10 player, and instead you've been a 4 out of 10. So
A lot of people have been slating Mudryk. I haven't really seen him come out and say too much in the media. He came around the same time as Anthony for a similar price tag.
I actually rate I rate the attitude in that sense. Just keep your head down, and, like, because that's what you should be doing. Like, if you're, but I think with the Anthony thing, like, there's been so much around Man United. He's been like, yeah, fuck, I'm gonna have my say, but like, score a fucking goal, set like 2 assists for a winger in 35 Premier League games is horrendous. It's just nowhere near good enough.
We will come to this super chat, but while we're just mentioning Mudryk there, we've got to remember with Mudryk, and Josh will agree with this, we've still got 80% to come. We've only seen 20% of Mudryk so far, haven't we?
I remember that. He said that recently. He went, oh, you've only seen 20% of me. And I thought, well, yeah, we'll pay you 20% of your wages then. Like.
You don't help yourself, mate, do you? You really don't. Imagine that. Imagine I came on the kickoff for the first time and afterwards I went, that was only 20%.
You're like, what?
Cheers, mate. Best.
It's just mental, isn't it? Like, we're looking at the goal from Palmer. What a beautiful
He needs
strike.
a little bit more credit for this. I've been watching it on the slow-mo a few times. And I tell you what, the first touch is good to control the ball. And actually, do you know what? I look at what the defender's doing there in Lindelof, and I actually think he's defended quite well.
No, he has.
I think he's
that's
got
what
time
impressed
to
me
him.
about the goal.
He's done what you would
It's
ask of a
only
defender.
Onana who's fucked it.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's you got to give Cole Palmer the praise here for going right. You saw the weakness, which was the guy Onana between the sticks, and you did go to place that shot in the bottom corner. And some would say he's only a penalty merchant, but you know.
Assist tonight, Anthony 0, Mudryk 1 from Josh Aveste. Yes, Josh. Yes. Well done. Well done. I don't remember the pass. It wasn't important because it was all Cole Palmer. But yeah.
What is your all-time best Prem team? I don't know whether he's going position for position with that, but if we're on about an actual side, I think I'm going to have a massive bias, and I'm always going to say the first Jose Mourinho Chelsea side when I look at goals conceded, when I look at the fact that
the Mourinho one.
Yeah, the Mourinho one. Yeah,
the
the Arsenal Invincible side gets so much credit, real credit. But what a lot of people sort of fail to remember about that Chelsea side is in another season where VAR existed, we probably go invincible too because we lost one match that whole season. Goes under the radar.
Was that the 16 goals conceded the whole season?
Yeah, 16 goals, yeah.
Yeah. I personally think the Mourinho Chelsea side is probably the best I've seen. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
So that 16 goals, I came under a bit of stick for that as well, because in the video I said, oh, Man United, they've conceded 15 goals in the group stage. Mourinho's Chelsea only conceded that in one season. A lot of people were quick to point out to me, 16 goals they conceded. They conceded, some Chelsea fan, you are. Do you know why I wasn't counting the goals? So I was at the matches celebrating them, mate. Yeah.
He was drunk. Okay. What's your first footballing memory? I like this one. Decky's shout out. What's your memory, mate? Earliest one.
1999.
At a match, yeah.
I wasn't at the match. No,
What's your first match memory?
So the first game I went to was Chelsea against Southampton. I think it's been about 2002, so I'd have been about 8 years old at the time, and we pumped them. We won well. I think we won about 4-0 at the time. But yeah, that was the first sort of one, and I'm quite lucky to have just seen the sort of end of that Chelsea side. With the likes of Zola, Gus Poyet, Di Matteo, Vialli, but they were in my very, very early days. The first real Chelsea side I started supporting would have been just before, maybe 2 seasons before the takeover, when we obviously had strike partnership of Idager Johnson, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, and obviously some real good memories there. I remind people time in, time out, 5 trophies in 5 years before Abramovich came. But yeah, that'd be it for me. What about yourself?
I was going to try and find you the goal, but I'll do it another time. 1997 Newcastle FA Cup game, because they were the cheaper ones, and we played Charlton Athletic at home, and it was 1-1, went into extra time. That was the year that Shearer signed. So his first year in for Newcastle from Blackburn, and we went into the extra time, I want to say 112 minutes, something like that. Free kick, 20 yards, 25 yards out. Shearer steps up, January, could barely even see the goal from where he was, whacks it in the top corner. and I was so short that everything went black because people were jumping up in front of us. I couldn't see anything, and
Yeah, that same problem now.
yeah, it was fucking mad. It was, but I remember just being like, my hero, he scored in my first game. And when I went, my whole hope was, I hope I see Alan Shearer score a goal. So yeah, he delivered, and that was it. Like,
Funny enough, speaking of Charlton, right, and we're talking about memories here, I often tell people of a match I went to, Chelsea played Charlton, and we played on sand. We didn't have grass that day on the pitch. We played on sand, right?
was that Stamford Beach?
It was Stamford Beach.
I remember
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I had a cocktail in the hand. And we played on sand. And then whenever I tell that story to people, they go, "How old are you?" They're thinking like you live or about.
Yeah.
Actually, it was the year before.
Was that Violi era?
No, it wasn't. It was 1 year before Roman Abramovich signed. 2003, 4-1. Chelsea beat them. Played the whole match on sand. And when I tell that story, quite often people think I'm talking shit, and I don't blame them because most of the time I am. But on that one occasion,
There was a period where Stamford Bridge was so being refurbed that it looked like a beach. It was so sandy. It was mad.
yeah, one of the things Chelsea did, and someone would be able to tell me because I can't remember why we did this, but this is why Chelsea would struggle to move stadium, is because the fans own the pitch. So like, I own a bit of the pitch. My dad owns a bit of the pitch.
Yeah.
Like and we used to have
That's
a thing
cool,
called the pitch holders dinner, and it would be like a dine-in thing where, by the way, sorry, I've just got to cut this story short. Fulham are about to go for their all-time biggest Premier League win here at home at Craven Cottage to Sheffield. Who are they playing? Nottingham Forest, sorry, because they're absolutely battering them 5-0 at half-time. Van Dijk, we've seen score one for Liverpool. Do you remember, or have you ever seen Van Dijk used to take free kicks for Celtic?
He's actually can whack them.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I'm just keeping an eye on the Villa City game. Still the same. Speaking of stadiums, Newcastle are actually looking into improving our stadium. I think the issue is some of the surrounding area is like what is it, like protected by, it's a national fucking treasure or whatever the fuck they want to call it, which is annoying because half of our quarter of our stadium is like massive, and the other half is still the old stadium. And I think to myself, imagine if the whole thing was the huge size. It looks really odd right now, and ideally we'd end up being level the whole thing up. But we're looking at modifying like another half of another third of the stadium so that we can get more people in and make it even bigger.
It's a great stadium, St James's Park, but I tell you what, for the away day fans, my
Terrible.
God, you imagine me travelling up there without my glasses on, I can't see a thing. You're
Do you know
sat in
what?
the gods.
I kind of, if you think about it, it's good for the
Yeah.
for the home fans. It's like we're all surrounding the players. Your fans are in the gods, doing no damage to your fan. Like you're not galvanizing your like. Cole Palmer's on the run, plays it to Enzo. Chelsea looking a little bit adventurous early on in the second half.
One
We're
thing I
into
will
it.
say is Reece James has been bought on at half time,
Good,
so that's something
good.
I'm happy to see here.
I'm surprised he didn't do it earlier because I think Poch has really got away with it there. That was a shocking decision on his part. Clearly, the fact that Reece James has been brought on in half-time shows he wasn't carrying a knock. I don't care what anyone says. That didn't make any fucking sense. Someone said every word, Khalil says, every word CR7 said about Ten Hag is true. I don't remember all of the quotes, but right now, if you've said something that isn't complimentary about Ten Hag, you're probably feeling good.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing though. I remember that interview, and I actually think that the level of criticism levelled at Ten Hag surprised me in terms of it wasn't as vast as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Most of the criticism was
About the
actually
club.
levelled at the club.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, there's no doubt in my mind that no matter who you are, every club could do with a Cristiano Ronaldo. However, could every club do with a Cristiano Ronaldo who's massively going to be out of, or massively going to be sort of annoyed and feeling downbeat at the fact that he's maybe not a first team starter in every single match?
His ego was a problem, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. But I do think that, if you're looking...
It's ironic, though, because he was one of the highest performing players they've had, even at the age he is.
Yeah. I mean, look, I know it's a lazy analysis to say this, but pretty sure when you're looking at Højlund at the moment, if Cristiano Ronaldo has got what's it, 10 games in the Premier League so far, maybe even more than that. I doubt you're seeing him sat on no goals.
No, it was a fuck up, wasn't it? To let him go, really.
You know, one of the main reasons Chelsea didn't sign Cristiano Ronaldo because he was up for it. He was up for it, but Tuchel wasn't up for it on that occasion.
I think managers are intimidated by him, and I think it's for the reason I kind of pointed out.
Here we go. Raheem Sterling getting in behind, and we need to...
Not bad. Managers don't want players to who've achieved more than them.
No.
Because you're then going to question these guys and be like, what the fuck are you, if you disagree with them, you're like, well, I know more than you. I've won the Champions League 4 times in a row, whatever the fuck it is. I think that given Ten Hag's lack of trophies and the vast experience where Cristiano Ronaldo played under Ancelotti, Zidane, Sir Alex Ferguson, like, who the fuck are you, right? And I think that is... They'd rather just not deal with that. Chance at the back post. Got to score. Nicholas Jackson. What the fuck? Reece James beautifully pulls away from his man, flicks on, and gives Nicholas Jackson a great chance at the back post. Can't keep the header down.
The ironic thing is, if Levi Colwell is there for that, I'd fancy him to put it in. And if Levi Colwell's there for that and he doesn't put it in, despite him being a defender, I go, come on, mate, you need to do a bit better there. Yeah. But all of a sudden, if I say Nicholas Jackson needs to do a bit better there, apparently I'm a Jackson hater.
I think the time's still out of sync. We've just got to remind Josh to do the time, bro. There we go. I've told him. Don't worry. He'll sort it out. Yeah, I think, imagine Chelsea go 2-1 up to that point, man. Fucking hell.
They have 2,700 empty chairs.
27,000? Who?
27,000.
Who has?
Apparently Man United.
That can't be right.
Can't see that. No.
Ronaldo wanted to go before he even trained with Ten Hag. There's no point in saying he should have stayed. Okay. Well, he did stay, didn't he?
Ironically, at the time, Ten Hag was doing so well that we were sort of looking at it and we were going, and we're seeing Amanda Broha warm up now, but we were looking at it at that time and we were sort of going, okay, it's a bit of indication for Ten Hag's decision there and he's doing well. But as I say, I say it time in, time out, no team can not do with a Cristiano Ronaldo in that side. The only difference is Raul for Real Madrid is playing into his 30s and whatnot, but I doubt he's kicking up the biggest fuss if he's not getting on the pitch.
Chelsea really bad defensively, playing themselves into trouble. Who's number 2?
Axel Disasi.
Yeah, that wasn't a good pass from him. Like,
it's not been great.
Good defending there. I think that was Caicedo, 25. Oh, Slobazai's made it 2-0 to Liverpool, confirming their win in the 95th minute. That's a big win for them.
Let's have a little look as it stands. Liverpool, really, really dark horses in this title race at the moment because they are going under the radar. But let's remember here, Manchester City so far, they've lost 2 games. Liverpool have only lost 1. And I'll tell you what, a couple of points behind Arsenal. Now, Manchester City could go on and win this game against Aston Villa, but Liverpool are really slipping under the radar here. And I think
Cole Palmer releases Mudryk. He's 1v1. He's really got the chance to open Manchester United up here. Going to get the cross. Oh, shot's shite. Not great. Geordie, what do you think about the Tyne Weir derby in the FA Cup? I can't wait, right? It's been a long time. Everything that happened before, I've forgotten about. Yes, they won a few in a row. Might have been 5, I can't remember. But I'm ready to put them to the fucking sword.
Is that what it is? 5 wins in a row?
Good. Might have been like 5 or something in a row, but I think we might have drawn the last one. I can't remember. But obviously, we're talking about the fucking Alan Pardew era. Do you know what I mean? It's been that long. Well, I'll have a Coke and whiskey, please, bartender. Thank you very much.
I'll have one more, please, bartender. Thank you.
But yeah, Newcastle versus Sunderland derby. Obviously, a lot of you might not be that bothered about it because you're not from Newcastle. I understand, like, to outside of Newcastle, it's a bit meh. But, people don't realise, like, it's a lot like the Glasgow derby. It's passionate, it's fiery, it's violent. Oh my God, another
Given
terrible
away
pass
this time
from
by
Chelsea's
Reece
defence.
James. Can't really believe it.
Jesus Christ. How can you expect to play ahead of Kieran Trippier for England with that sort of shit?
Well, he actually turned down his last international call-up, so...
Did he really? Yeah. I mean, that wasn't good enough.
He liked a Fred Perry, Ten Hag, didn't he? He's dropped the hat for this game.
Yeah, the old Peaky Blinders cap didn't do many favours, did it?
What did they called him? The Mackhams?
The Mackhams, yeah.
Sunderland.
Look, it's a brutal derby, Newcastle versus Sunderland, and the fact that it's been so long, I think makes it even more spicy because the likelihood of Sunderland getting promoted is almost non-existent. However, they do have a little bit of talent in Bellingham, the brother of Jude, sorry. And he's a striker, and Jude really rates his brother. And to be fair, I've seen a few little clips of him. I think you're all right, yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what he's like against Newcastle. But aside from that, they've just sacked the manager. I think it was Tony Mowbray.
Is he still knocking about, is he?
They've been a club in decline for years. I mean, that Netflix documentary about them was kind of like The Office. Like, it was embarrassing. Man United crossing the box. Chance for Garnacho. He looks for the overhead kick. And this time, it's not a highlight reel.
Lightning doesn't strike twice, my friend, unfortunately. Yeah, do you know what? Despite it being obviously a local derby and probably your biggest rivalry of any team you've got.
It is, though.
Not only that, Newcastle this season, I think that the Newcastle players, I made a point the other day, thank you very much. I made a point the other day of saying that if you go into the Newcastle dressing room, unlike a lot of dressing rooms in the Premier League at the moment, I genuinely think that the Newcastle players in there are sitting saying to themselves, we as a collective, this team here, it won't be this season, but very close to now, we're going to win something. We're going to win a Premier League. We're going to definitely get our hands on one of the domestic trophies. Oh, a close chance there from Garnacho.
A threat in this game. Curled it wide.
And I think that because of that importance on winning something, you're still in with a chance in both cup competitions so far, as well as the Champions League. But I think that regardless of it being a local derby, you've got to be going for that tournament now and going for every tournament you're in, because this side are good enough to win something this season. If you were good enough to get to the final last season, I'm telling you now, you're good enough to get way further than the final. You should be winning something this season if luck is on your side.
I hope so, bro. I really fucking do. You have to understand, I've never seen my team win anything. Ever. Like, that's a long time. And for me, I just want to know that I've seen it. When Mike Ashley was the manager, the owner of the club, I thought I'm never going to see us win anything in my whole life, and it was such a shit feeling. So now I'm kind of like, wow, I might see Newcastle. Like, I did the Eddie Howe video about we can win something, but to just see us lift a trophy at one point in my life would be like, I seen one trophy. That alone would be like, just that is like something. You know what I mean? Like, that's the most important thing for me.
You don't rate the Intertoto Cup then?
No. I'll take the League Cup, I'll take the FA Cup, I'll take the Europa League, whatever the fuck we can get, or the best. Yeah, that'll be mega for us. And I think the thing in previous... Oh, Reece James in behind.
Reece James, be a good delivery.
Good cross in, but no one was there. And it's offside. With Newcastle, again, I was saying... previously, we were bottle jobs in those Sunderland games. Sunderland had harder players than us, a bit more, desire. Whereas now, we're a whole different fucking unit. We beat teams every fucking week because we want it more. So for this, I'm like, we're going to box the living shit out of you fuckers. And look, I respect, like, Sunderland's always a game where I don't even care who they've got in their team. I know that their fans are going to be bang up for it, so automatically it doesn't even matter. It's like Braveheart type shit.
Remember this though, you've played Dortmund this season, you've played Manchester City, AC Milan, and all the big boys in the Champions League, PSG, and in the league as well. This is a local derby. It's a rivalry that the players need to understand the importance of. But you'd be deluded to say that this is your biggest game of the season, because it's not. It's important to you as a fan.
So different,
It's important to you as a fan, But when you're coming up against Mbappe, you're not that bothered about the players that Sunderland have got. And I'm not going to pretend to know any because I don't, apart from Bellingham's brother. But you've got to remember that for Sunderland, this is the biggest game.
No, and that's the part of the problem is they'll raise their game big time. Dalot to cross in, and it's tracked back by Mudryk. Well done, Mudryk. Yeah, it is their cup final, and for that reason, they'll lift their spirits, and obviously we'll have to do everything we can. But for me, the biggest game of the season was last week, Man United now. Only because if Sunderland were in the Premier League, that would be the biggest game. But in the situation we're in, for me, we have to finish in the Europa League spots minimum, and to say that we're probably going to is huge for us. Another cross in, and it's saved by Sanchez. Sanchez having a very solid game. Like, there's been a few saves from him today where I thought, you know what, I don't think you're an amazing keeper, but you've really done well generally here. Unfortunately, the counter attack didn't quite pay off there for Sterling, who sent Cole Palmer.
There's a big level of frustration for me watching this match at the moment because I'm looking at Man United, and again, I will say it, I don't think that when I'm looking at Man United so far, I think that they look a little bit more stable than games gone by, and I think they're the better team in this match so far. But I don't think by any stretch of the imagination they're not gettable. And I feel like we found Palmer in space a few times, and we haven't got the options of someone a little bit more potent in front of goal for him to move it onto. Whether I'm talking about Mudryk, whether I'm talking about Jackson, or whether I'm talking about Sterling, who so far has not lit the world up in this game. And I really think that the substitutes are going to be important now, because whether or not he's held in such high regard, I'd probably rather see an Ian Matson out there ahead of a Mikhailo Mudryk at the moment. I would definitely rather see an Amanda Broha out there instead of a Nicholas Jackson at the moment, because at the end of the day, I do think with Chelsea, maybe we're riddled by injuries at the minute and what team aren't, but I do think you can't do the same thing and hope for different results time in, time out. Well, we need to see something.
Speaking of what you're saying, it was Josh who sort of put me on to the fact that Sterling is not tracking back enough. And watching him here, I'll be honest, it's performative. He's tracking back, but he's not tracking back like his life depends on it. He's not tracking back, to be honest, looking at... compared to my team, like Almiron and Anthony Gordon track back. Like, it's not tracking back with the intent to tackle. It's tracking back with the intent of not looking lazy. And there's a big difference, you know what I mean? Like, when you're pretending to work hard versus working hard, it's...
So at the start of the season, Raheem Sterling was asked about his sort of uplifting form.
Deflected shot from Anthony goes just wide. To be fair, it wasn't going in, but it was the deflection that made it tricky, and the keeper had already dived. Again, there's been no service from Højlund in this game so far. My point at the very start of this game was I very much rate Højlund, but when you look at the wingers that Manchester United have, Garnacho and Marcus Rashford and Anthony, they're not looking for assists. They're looking for goals themselves. And Chelsea...
Big penalty appeal there.
Chelsea clear the ball, but there's a penalty appeal. I don't think it's serious. Manchester United don't look that serious, but Ten Hag is serious about it.
I bet he is.
Yeah.
We were asked by the chat, do Joey and Geordie watch any leagues beside the Premier League? I'll start off by answering this. Championship, I would say I watch a little bit. Do you know what? I watch highlights of any of the teams in the Championship I'm interested in, i.e. Leicester, Southampton, and Leeds, and maybe one or two others in there. But apart from that, no, I can't say I watch too many leagues other than the Premier League, to be honest. Maybe again, highlights of La Liga. I know you've watched quite a few Real Madrid matches this season.
I watched a bit of Real Madrid because I just wanted to see how Bellingham was getting on. Similarly with Harry Kane, I find it interesting to see how the English lads are doing when they get those big money moves. We've just seen the replay here of the penalty appeal. Not a penalty at all.
Well, the rule is, correct me if I'm wrong here, it's unnatural position.
Yeah.
Colwell cannot do anything about his hand there. He has to raise it to do anything. Then if it hits his hand, it is in an unnatural position.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I think one thing to say on the watching other leagues thing is a lot of the time I'll get it in my comments and people will say sort of similar things to this. I'm not saying that the guy commenting there meant it in a derogatory way, but when you see a content creator that is banging out content all the time, believe me, that content doesn't edit, chop itself up, upload itself. It's very hard to get all that content out. So ironically, you're not watching all that much Serie A football at the time. So... But yeah.
There's a lot of if there's anything I know from working with a lot of football creators, there's a lot of them just read match reports and recite it as if it's gospel, as if they were at the game, right? Garnacho here on the left hand side, and he switches it back into Bruno Fernandes, who nice little back heel, flashes it wide. Just a little update from the biggest game. Aston Villa 0-0 with Man City. 17 shots from Villa, 2 from Man City. These are staggering numbers. These are the biggest indicators that Manchester City are not the same beast this season. And I've been saying it, and I think a few others have been speculating on the kickoff. But now it's looking concrete, like Liverpool snatching wins, Arsenal snatching wins. And look, Villa away, one of the hardest games of the season, to be fair to City. But the City of last year, you might see them lose. You wouldn't see 17 shots to 2. That's massive.
We were asking the question last season about Haaland, and we were saying, are City 100% a better team for having Erling Haaland in there? And when you were looking at style of play, sometimes it was a valid question to be asked. But ultimately, when you looked at the accolades and the achievement at the end of the season, it seemed like a silly question to be asked. However, we saw time in, time out, the link-up. Manchester United are receiving the ball over the top here, and now they're countering on Chelsea.
Garnacho and Antony in full flow, crosses it in, and it's terrible from Garnacho. And this is why Højlund is never going to get a fucking assist from this guy. What the fuck was that?
We saw time in, time out last season, the link up between Kevin De Bruyne and Erling Haaland. And I think that sometimes a certain dynamic within a team, two players gelling, or even a player hitting form themselves can mask the real problems. We look at Man United today and we think that maybe some of these problems aren't new this season. Maybe some of these problems do continue on from last season, and Rashford's form was masking that a little bit. And I think that now Kevin De Bruyne's out of the team, you're maybe seeing that actually, as impressive as Haaland's numbers are, if he's not the man banging them goals, which in most matches I'll give he is, but every now and again, and that's all you need, fine margins in terms of competing for a Premier League title, maybe they're not as fluid without that sort of false nine system that they played in the past.
Yeah. And oh God, Chelsea.
Bad place to give away the ball there.
I'm really learning quite a bit about Chelsea in this game, and defensively they're not good enough. And in terms of giving the ball away, it's insane how cheaply they give the ball away. That's something that needs to be changed right now. And with Enzo and what's he called? Sorry, this Caicedo. Quality, obviously, quality midfielders, but they're not good enough at holding on to the ball for me. And it's starting to show in the careless way. So many players at Chelsea, and it's not just them too, but I look at them for more control in the game because they're midfielders, and I'm really shocked at how easy it is for Man United to get the ball back because they're not having to work really hard. Chelsea are just handing it over far too often.
I've had a comment in here. Lads, isn't it mad now that Misfits have had 11 events now, and I'd say most of them have been very good?
Oh, we've got another comment. When is Joy making his Misfits debut?
They're about to get better, mate. They're about to get a lot better.
We've got it all. We're cooking, lads.
So listen, if you're a Chelsea fan, you need to get behind that.
Hopefully, in January or February, we will see Chelsea's destroyer in the ring for Misfits. We're working on it behind the scenes, and I'm very excited to be commentating on one of my mates fighting. I wonder how the fuck that's going to sound, because I'm going to be a wreck.
Oh, no, yeah.
But no, I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully we'll get that all confirmed soon so we can let you all know to support Joey, where to buy tickets, all of that stuff. And yeah, we'll have a belter fucking night out.
And I won't spill any beans just here, but I tell you what, me and you had a chat off camera, and there's something in the pipeline potentially for Misfits, if you are a Misfits fan, that could completely blow your mind.
Oh, yeah.
Coming up.
Yeah, if you're a Misfits boxing fan, or just a boxing fan generally. Oh, 1-0 Villa. And it's been coming. Has it happened? We're going to check. Oh, shit. Right,
before I've seen it, I'm going to say who I think scored.
Are you joking? Goal Villa? No?
I'd say Ollie Watkins, but part of me says Douglas Luiz.
And it is not confirmed yet by Google. And it is confirmed. It is 1-0 to Aston Villa. And the goal comes from
Man United delivering the ball.
It hasn't been confirmed yet who scored. Fuck me.
Now, I'll tell you what, if Villa have took the lead in this match, which all indications are saying they have, this is massive. Leon Bailey, Jamaican international, they got some good players, man.
18 shots to 2. So Newcastle, I think at the time that we scored, was 17 shots to 2. So that shows how brutal this has been for Manchester City. And you know what? Earlier in the week, Pep Guardiola, they said to you, what do you think about Man City? Do you think you'll win the league? And he went, yeah, I think we'll win the league. If we keep performing how we've been performing, we'll win the league. And I thought, you're worried. Because normally what Pep Guardiola does is he praises the opposition in a patronising way. Goal, Manchester United! And it's that man, Scott McTominay. And unfortunately, Chelsea have been switching off for the last 10 minutes. And I can't say Manchester United don't deserve this. It's not been good enough.
No, it's been coming. Scott McTominay, again, we were talking about redemption arcs earlier on in the stream. It's a massive one. Scott McTominay, we've always seen him be able to put in the performances and the goals for Scotland. But for Man United, he's stepping up in the big moments. He's proving to be a goal threat. And let's be honest, mate, it is deserved.
It is
deserved.
It's a cross in from Garnacho, and Scott McTominay leaves his man. And who was his man? Christ, they were queuing up. The fucking state of this. It could have been Hoyland, it could have been Scott McTominay. There was 3 of them queuing up. It was another one behind these 2 lads. My days, embarrassing from Chelsea's defending. And I've got to say, entire game, Chelsea's defence has been shit. It's been shit.
It's Levi Colwell who's ended up on the ground in that passage of play there. It's a hard one to take, because when we saw a moment of brilliance from obviously Cole Palmer in that situation, you're sort of looking at it and you're thinking, okay, it's not deserved. But sometimes you don't get what you deserve. Sometimes you get what you're given, and then you can build on that. But at the moment,
the second half, though, they've not built on that at all.
They're now saying there's going to be there is a VAR check ongoing at the moment. The refs having a look at it.
Tell you what, this would be very lucky, because Chelsea have been.
No, listen, I've got to call it for what it is.
I think the thing that would worry me most is Manchester United have not been great attacking wise, and yet, is it the foul? Is that what they're complaining for?
It could well be a foul, but I don't think it's. It's not been given.
It's a foul. It's a goal. Sorry. Manchester United fans, let us know how you feel in the comments. Goal, decision complete. Let me know if you're a Chelsea fan, what you're thinking right now. Given how Manchester United were under pressure in this game, this was a real opportunity for Chelsea to turn their season around, kick on, go for a European football spot. And right now, they don't look anywhere near good enough. And I think Look, I understand that Pochettino has got,
Oh,
my God,
what is
another
that?
bad
What
kick out from
is that?
Sanchez. And it's through, and it's a chance. Oh, and McTominay could have made it 3.
Yeah, we've been really bad.
Oh, my God, Sanchez just handing it over. If there's one thing that's pissed me off about Chelsea today, it's carelessly giving the ball away in all areas of the pitch. Keeper, defence, midfield, attack, all of the time.
But what is it? Like, because as a Chelsea fan, I'm sometimes too close to the picture to be able to look back and see the art here, or the lack of art we're seeing in this game. What is it? Because these boys were all very good individually for the clubs we bought them from. Sanchez was a good goalkeeper for Brighton, was not showing this level of mistakes when he had the ball at his feet. You know, Caicedo good, Enzo really good for Benfica and Argentina in the World Cup, Mikhailo Mudryk tearing it up at Shakhtar Donetsk. What is it? Why is it all of a sudden?
I can only give you what... Look, I'm coming from someone who's now being educated by what I'm watching every week. And Eddie Howe's football is fast and furious, intense, but it's tidy. And you lot take unnecessary risks.
Yeah.
You play balls that you're not capable of making, that there are defenders in the way, and you play balls that aren't going to reach their man. So, and it happens far too often. And I think to myself, why are you being that adventurous when you're not going to pull this off? And they do it from their own third. The keeper, they do it in the second third, and then the third. And I'm just like, are you being coached properly to when you take the ball on, know what's around you and know where your man is to help you out? Because it's just such a risky style that Chelsea are having right now. If they get anything from this today, they'll be so fortunate.
Very slow, I would say, also to release the ball when
Yeah.
we get it, especially in that midfield zone. Like, straight away, when you look at a Bruno Guimaraes, a Joe Linton, straight away, that ball is released on to the more attacking players, the more threatening players for Newcastle. Whereas, like, we're getting the ball with Enzo and he's holding it up. We're getting the ball with Caicedo.
Oh, my God.
Real bad.
Garnacho's gone through. He's got to score. And it's well recovered from Reece James after he himself headed back to his goalkeeper, which then had got Garnacho through. It's just shambolic, mate. Shambles.
Got to give a bit of credit here. I was saying about Garnacho before this match. I said that he's been a bit of a talisman over recent weeks for Man United. And what I was saying was, although we had seen him score a great goal against Galatasaray and one of the best goals the Premier League has ever seen against Everton, I didn't actually think his individual performances, apart from the moments of brilliance, were that great in those matches. However, we've seen him probably, and I'd say actually definitely be Man United's biggest attacking threat in this game, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, cross in, keeper, got it. But you know what? Look, this is what I'm on about, man. Oh, fuck me, Josh. I've told you about Mudryk giving the ball away. If you're listening, this is what I'm talking about. His touch is shite, mate.
But we're not going on about an isolated incident.
It's all the time.
It's a good 70% of the time. And I just look at it and I said
this is why I said good athlete, but is the footballing brain, is the touch there, is the technique there? Look, I'm not going to single out Mudryk, to be fair to the lad, because it's all of them. Careless. And
it is all of them. Hold on, I just need to interrupt you here. It is all of them. Yeah. But what happens when Man United are playing shit? One player steps up with moments of individual brilliance. And at times like that, when we're able to break on a team, we haven't been playing well, but we've got a player, an £85 million player, whatever he is, that is able to break on someone in a moment of individual brilliance. We're not
saying the brilliance, mate. We're saying the individual. Look, if there's one thing that we found out about Chelsea this season, there's been only one player with individual brilliance, and that's Cole Palmer. For me, I don't see any other player who was of the level.
Good ball from Reece James.
Great ball from Reece James. I held my fucking breath there because it was that good. Look, Reece James is not on the level of individual brilliance, but he's a right back, right? How much can he affect the game? The reality is, when we're talking about individual brilliance, it's been Cole Palmer, and Mudryk at 76 minutes has been hooked. I believe this is him.
I don't think he is, no.
Is this him?
I think it's going to be Jackson coming off, surely. No, it is Mudryk.
It is Mudryk. And he's done fuck all. And this is why I'm still questioning the support, the faith in him. And look, I understand Chelsea fans want to support their lads. Josh wants the lad to succeed. Half of it is blue tinted specs. But as a Newcastle fan, I'm obviously impartial, and I'm also watching a very good football team week in, week out on my own side do things that Chelsea aren't doing. So that's why I'm pointing these things out. It's because I'm looking at them going, why aren't you pressing well? Why aren't you keeping the ball well? These are not things that should be above a level of so many high-value players. If you look at Newcastle's spending, if you look at our wage bill, it's not even comparable to Chelsea. So it's a coaching issue, but it's also, are you applying yourself as a footballer individually? And there's too many of this lot who aren't doing that. So it's a really confusing thing to watch right now, because Man United were here for the taking today. They were under immense pressure, home crowd. You managed to get that one goal from Cole Palmer, individual brilliance in that moment, despite being piss poor in the first half, in my opinion. And second half, you've been shite. I thought Chelsea would come out and capitalise on the added pressure. Surely all of the fans at half-time were like, for fuck's sake. You immediately think this isn't going to be our day. And yet, you've come out and let them off. I don't know.
It massively feels like we've gone backwards a little bit here, because we tasted defeat earlier on in the season. But if you were looking at the underlying numbers, and if you were looking at factors that went into that, say, for example, the West Ham game's a real prime example. I remember watching that 3-1 defeat to West Ham and thinking, we've been desperately unlucky today, and bad game management and naivety within our squad. But actually, we've not played that badly today. Whereas we're looking at the more recent defeats like Newcastle and like this one that I feel is inevitably incoming by Man United. And I just think, boys, you just didn't show anything. You just didn't show enough.
This is the most worrying performance of the season, in my opinion, if I was a neutral for Chelsea, because for so long, we're like early days. Brand new squad, brand new manager, whole bunch of individuals. You've got to find time to knit them together as a team. What individuals do you want to build a team around? Who is the safe pair of hands in the back? Who's going to defend properly? Yada, yada, yada. We're getting more info now. We're getting more data to work with. And we're getting that. Oh, my God. Reece James again. Not good.
Reece James,
giving the ball away.
A couple of big mistakes.
He's got to be better than this. Cross in, and it's cleared. And now's the time when we're going to start develop. Oh, Man United are in behind.
We're making.
Oh, and oh my God, Garnacho flashes it wide. What was that? 8 yards out. Should have been a goal.
We're making Manchester United look the best they've looked all season here.
Facts.
The best they've looked all
This
season.
is their best performance of the season.
And someone's commented in the chat saying Chelsea can't be losing this, mate. Chelsea can be losing this. Because Chelsea have been nothing short of a shit show today, to be honest. Like, we've been really poor, and I'm one of the first to be enthusiastic and get behind the boys when I can and when I feel there's the need to be. But at the moment, I can't really be too optimistic about what I'm seeing here so far. And I think that if you're Pochettino, I said this before and it sort of got laughed at.
This is the wake-up call.
Because the whole narrative of we've spent $1 billion and whatnot, it got laughed at a lot, but I said that Pochettino's probably looking at this squad right now and thinking, mate, I probably need 3 or 4 signings here. And I don't think I'm wrong, am I?
Oh, mate, it's terrible. The saddest thing I can say about this, and I'm just going to have a quick look at the... Yeah, so Aston Villa still leading Man City 21 shots to 2 now.
So they're still attacking, even though they're up. And ironically, Man City haven't had a shot in this second half then by them stats.
Not one. So just to be clear, Chelsea currently are in 10th place, but they're joint on points with Brentford. They're 1 point above Fulham and 1 point above Wolves. Now, here's the thing. So far, Joey and Josh, who are 2 of my closest mates, have been doing their podcast and saying it's deceptive, right? The quality that Chelsea have went out and bought is not representative of what we are seeing in terms of some of the football and the level of talent that they have in the squad. And they've been completely right. However, this is the first game where I thought, yeah, you look like an 11th place side.
Yep.
You look like you're nowhere near as good as Manchester United. And make no mistake about it, this is the worst Manchester United side I've seen in my lifetime. So Chelsea, this should be like huge alarm bells ringing right now. But Raheem Sterling has just been dragged down and about 30 yards out. Look, it's only 2-1, so that's the bonus. They're still in the game. But this has been a horrendous performance for Chelsea. Careless at the back, sloppy, not picking up the men. So many times they've been disorganised. Careless going forward, giving away the ball at will. You know, I look at Bruno Fernandes and I look at Bruno Guimaraes in the way he holds the ball for my team, in the way that he tries to move the team forward, and he's like a captain, but he's so careful with who he passes the ball to. And then I watch Enzo. He's not anywhere near as good. He's nowhere, not even close as good. And I'm having a go at the lad because I think he's got loads of talent, but he needs to start being a bit more sensible with the ball, and he needs to. If you want to be the main man, you have to play like that. And I don't want to be an arsehole because he is a young lad, but like I look at Reece James and Enzo, and I think used to. I've seen bags of talent from you, and I'm not seeing anything in this game to say that.
I would say we've regressed massively since the early performances this season. Because, you know, we were saying about us.
Oh, the state of it.
Even that, what is that?
What the fuck was that, mate?
What is
was that revised? We've just seen a free kick, guys, from about 30 yards out. And then, oh my God, Man United are now on the attack, for Christ's sake.
You ever played FIFA and you've been 5-0 down? And
That's what it looks like?
You think, fuck it, I'm just going for screamers now. You know what I mean? I'm not going to win the match, so I'm just going to try and go for screamers now.
There's no plan when you do that. And that's what Chelsea look like. And this is on Pochettino. Like, for me, when we're talking about, you know, watching a game that looks like you're playing with, your PlayStation controller and just thought, fuck it. Like, that's not what players should be looking like. Players with discipline, control, and a plan, and things that we've labelled at Chelsea for not looking like they've got this season.
Now, here's what I would say to that. And I agree with you, it is on Pochettino. I think it's on the players, but ultimately it's on the manager to get the best performance possible out of the players. Here's what I'd say to you. Last season, Chelsea were 12th, okay? When Jurgen Klopp came into Liverpool, he took Liverpool from, I think, 8th to 8th. Or something like that, maybe one place up. So actually, when you look at it in line with maybe a Jurgen Klopp, for example, what Pochettino's doing is he's just basically plateauing in this side upon his first 6 months in the job, which is what we have seen Jurgen Klopp do, which is also what we've seen Pep Guardiola do at Man City when he finished third and came in the season after they'd just finished third. So we've seen a couple of great managers do this, plateau within their first 6 months to 12 months as manager. So what I'm not going to do is throw the baby out the bathwater here and go, right, well, Pochettino's not the man for the job because of the performance we're seeing. What I do want to do is, and we put ourselves in a difficult situation in being able to do this, but I want to see Pochettino given the resources in the transfer market to maybe go, okay, let's see what you can do. Get a few of your guys in and start playing the guys that you want to play. And now we're seeing Cole Palmer in the box, little bit of foot trickery, but ultimately it ends up with a... How was he not score that?
Enzo arrives late in the box.
You've got to convert.
8 yards out. Oh my days, the state of it, the state of Manchester United's defence, and it makes it all the more painful for Chelsea fans out there when you realise how bad this Manchester United side is. And the truth of the matter is if Chelsea had threatened more, it would not be 2-1. But the point is they've not managed to get their shit together enough to even threaten. This is a wake-up call. And look, I completely agree with what Joey says. One game does not define a manager's legacy. However, more questions will be asked after this, I think. It's not good.
Again, like, we're getting a reputation here for bashing Man United, and I've got to give Man United their praise. Yeah. They've been so much better in this game than they have been in recent games. Yeah. But my God, they've not had a fight in front of them. Because we've been toothless.
That's the point I'm making. It's have Manchester United been good today? They've been fine. They've been good. They've been okay. But it's impossible to know how good Manchester United would have been today because the performance that Chelsea have put out in front of them has been like. Here's the point: if you're consistently giving the ball away in every part of the pitch, how can I judge how good the opposition are when you're making it so easy for them? Chelsea are so careless in possession. It's staggering. And look, no wonder Newcastle ran a train on them because you keep giving them the ball. Like, and even Manchester United, under the maximum amount of pressure, with a manager who's being questioned more than ever, with players who are being doubted left, right, and centre, this is the best chance. And look, 2 games in a row now, we've looked at we've looked at Chelsea and said, Newcastle are under pressure here. Loads of injuries. Bad spot. Really good chance to have a go at them. They've only got 11 players fit. Man United, just been absolutely dominated by Newcastle. Bad spot here. Loads of pressure on. Best chance to play against them. And again, 2 piss poor performances back-to-back now from Chelsea. And as much as I truly believe that Pochettino is a solid manager, and I think that he's a good manager in terms of getting the best out of youngsters, when you put on in 2 huge games that could have transformed Chelsea's season, terrible performances, the buck stops with the manager, and I think the reports aren't going to be kind.
I think it's difficult because when you look at the run of fixtures we've had, you're sort of you're thinking, well, only Brentford in there, and maybe you could consider Brighton, but if you look at where Brighton finished in the table last season, Brighton are decent. Only Brentford in there realistically could be the one described as a match you should have won. And ultimately, when we looked at that run of fixtures and the form we were in after losing to Brentford, we were sort of thinking this is going to be a hard run for us. Yeah. And actually to get out of it with, sort of a couple of wins, couple of draws and a couple of losses is about right for a mid-table side, which is what we are at the moment. But, like you were saying there, when we were showing this much lacklustre defending and such poor performances in the middle of the park, if we were dealing with that and countering that with really attacking football, then we could go, do you know what? We're absolutely shit at the back, but we're naive and my God, we go for it. But at the end of the day, in this match, we've been toothless. There's been one player on the pitch so far in Cole Palmer that's turned up in this game, and that's about it. Like, even our talisman, our captain, Reece James, has not been good in this game, and it's heartbreaking as a Chelsea fan to watch it like this at the moment.
I'm not impressed with Enzo today. I'm really not. And Caicedo, I think, has been okay, tidy.
Yeah. Lost the ball a few times,
but neither of them have looked good, right? Like, if we're going to look at the season so far, right? So Chelsea's first game of the season was Liverpool. They drew 1-1, solid result, no complaints. Go away to West Ham. West Ham, decent team. They lose 3-1. Beat Luton 3-0, as expected. They then lost away to Nottingham Forest, poor result. Drew to Bournemouth away, poor result. Lost away to Villa. Not the worst result, but obviously, a loss is a loss.
Home to Villa.
They won away to Fulham, good result. Won away to Burnley, solid result. Drew to Arsenal, solid result. Lost at home to Brentford, bad result. Won Tottenham, good result. And then it's 4-4 Man City, solid result. So,
Brower, oh!
Off the post on a header, at the back post. Even at the stage that we're at right now, Chelsea haven't been playing good, but they could have still come away with a draw. That just shows how vulnerable Man United are, and unfortunately, Chelsea just haven't tested them anywhere near enough. But then again, it's just so hit and miss from Chelsea, I guess, is the point I'm making when I look at the results back. Are Chelsea a bad football team? Not at all. But they're not great either. And for the amount of money that's been spent, it comes across as one of the biggest wastes of money we've seen in football history in terms of money spent versus product on the pitch at the end of all of that money spent. I don't think that we have to automatically sit there and go, if you spend $1 billion, you're automatically going to get success, because as Manchester United have proved, that's bollocks, and as many teams have proved, it's not true. But regardless, this is Chelsea. Like, it doesn't even, let's forget about the money. This is Chelsea. Chelsea should be better than this. Like, it's, and for me, this is the biggest indicator so far this season that Chelsea aren't going to be finishing in the top 6 at all.
I'm almost lost for words when we're saying it. Like,
Yeah.
There's plenty of times.
You had a lot of enthusiasm early on, man.
Yeah.
Josh, you know what I mean?
I would always come to the defence of Chelsea, even if I thought the odds were stacked against me, but I had something I could argue. But it's so hard when you're sitting living it, and on today's showing, I just can't say there's anything that I've seen today to suggest that we're going to propel ourselves up the league. No,
I can't either.
I'm not gonna go sort of ridiculous, overreactionary take on it and go all of a sudden, oh well, Chelsea are in a relegation battle. No, we're not. We're probably going to finish where we are at the moment, which is 10th. But at the end of the day, when I was looking at all the players that Wolves had lost and the instability they had there with their manager leaving sort of moments before a ball was kicked in the Premier League season, I can't, in all honesty, say that I thought that 14, 15 games into the season that they would be, hot on our tails.
And this is the thing that I think you, Josh, and every Chelsea fan has to accept. This is a failure. Like, in terms of the level of money spent versus output. Because when you're sitting there on 19 points, level with Brentford, who haven't had Ivan Toney the whole season. 1 point ahead of Fulham, 1 point ahead of Wolves. That's staggeringly bad. Like, I was a bit like, Chelsea are an X factor this season. They may come second, they may come fourth, they may come sixth. One thing I never thought would be like mid-table mediocrity, because they've bought so much quality. But the point is it needs to gel. And for that, you need a manager who knows exactly what he's doing with his players. But you may have spent the money unwisely. And I think Todd Bowley has a lot to answer for, because it's not just about the modern era of Chelsea this season. It's what happened last season. And I think, unfortunately, Todd Bowley went around splashing the cash. And a lot of these players should never have been bought.
Not only that, there was players that went that maybe didn't need to go at that moment in time. I know we were looking to have a bit of a clear out, but let's say, for example, I know N'Golo Kante sort of came with his injury problems, but Kovacic has been playing part most weeks, at least, for Manchester City. Maybe a Kovacic didn't need to go,
Yeah, I can't believe Man United are above Newcastle in the table. It blows my mind.
Yeah.
It genuinely, it blows my mind. And it shows the gulf in class. And ultimately, this Premier League is such a poor it's a poor standard of football for me, because what's deciding it is not a lot of the time tactics. It's individuals. And Man United, for all Man United fans slag their players off and complain and moan, you guys have spent billions, and players like Garnacho, players like Rashford, players like Bruno Fernandes, players like Højlund, they've got individual brilliance. And that alone sometimes, even if Ten Hag doesn't have a clue, which I don't believe he does, is enough. Like, and Scott McTominay in particular has been massive for Man United this season. So credit to him especially. Chelsea have lost 2-1. Manchester United have won. And this is a big defeat in Pochettino's reign early on as manager here. I thought today we'd get a minimum of a draw from Chelsea, given the pressure on Man United. Big answer back from the Man United players. I've got to give them credit. They didn't just win today, they dominated. And I think that's the thing that Chelsea should be focusing on is, look, anyone can lose a game, but it's how you lose. And Chelsea lost badly today. It was 2-1, but much like the Newcastle Man United game, it should have been more.
Yeah. And
you got Man United missing a penalty, that double shot from Scott McTominay that was saved. Like, Sanchez, for me, was man of the match. So I think that says more than anything about today's game of... and look, I want to also say credit to Ten Hag in terms of he got his tactics right. He outdid Pochettino today. I've slagged Ten Hag off, but I'll always give credit where it's due. And I can only imagine he must have been under immense pressure. He's been banning the press. And as much as I don't rate the guy, he did the thing. You know what I mean? And Scott McTominay in particular, I think deserves a lot of credit today. When it comes down to it, it was a Manchester United academy player who dug them out of shit. Not all the money. And I do think that if Chelsea had Conor Gallagher today, they'd have done better. It's sometimes the players who you grew yourself.
If my auntie had a set of bollocks, she'd be my uncle, mate.
Yeah.
It honestly doesn't matter at this point. I think that ultimately it's a team sport, it's a collective, and the boys let us down big time today. And like you say, it was 2-1, but the scoreline doesn't reflect the way the match went. It might as well have been 4-1, it might as well have been 5-1, and there was multiple chances for us in this match, like the missed penalty and like the Cole Palmer goal that sort of came out of nothing at the time. There were chances for us to go, right, okay, it hasn't been vintage, but let's push on now. And ultimately we didn't do so. So I think that as much as myself and Josh at times on my channel like to be the voice of optimism, we got to be realists when ultimately the inevitable arrives, and that is that at this moment in time, Chelsea are miles off this European push, man.
All right, we're gonna leave it there, guys. We are going to do a full review on Joey's channel. Go and subscribe to the Joy Night podcast now. All of your Chelsea content is over there, and he does a lot of other stuff. And also, we got the boxing content. Come to Joy. He's going to be going on Misfits. He's going to be chinning some dudes.
Let some anger out on all these Chelsea performances.
We're going to love it next year. So big up to Joy. Go and support our guy. Big love to all of you lot in the chat. Really appreciated the stream tonight. Loved every minute of it. Unfortunately, Joy didn't. God bless him. And we will see you on the next one. Cheers.